post that she knows that I'm almost famous. Neck bang bang, and we dangerous remaining. Time steady changing. I don't know these niggas, and I don't wanna know them. This girl just want that big moment, so she can blow it. That's bogus, but I don't tell her what's what. Don't wanna be stuck, cause she's so starstruck. Wanna be around us, but I just rather play the field, rather keep it real, rather take you out, rather tell you how I feel, and show you that this game is for real. Cause I know that you're in love, you're looking for a star. Walked all this way to find a man with a car, hanging at the bar, champagne, caviar. No, you never seen a nigga like this, like this. You never seen a nigga like this, like this. Girl, you never seen a nigga like this, like this. You never seen a nigga like this, like this. Girl, you never seen a nigga like this. So quit it, you spend seconds, hours, minutes working on your fitness for a nigga to witness. Go quit it, I ain't tripping. You ain't the baddest bitch I'll ever meet. The homie said he already be in the backseat of a Honda Jeep. For the Lord shit you can really keep him so cold on him, so cold on him. Few homies in the feds, cause bitch niggas done told on him. Seen them boys in the streets and did a lot more than just stole on them. Niggas know the pen when they feel the heat of that stove on them. Send the hell the Lord don't want them. Funny girls from church Sunday morning. Saturday was out pouring. Show me a worthy opponent. Show me a match. No nigga, I face mine. Now my mind, no hang time. That's MJ on the baseline. Girl, I know that you're in love. You're looking for a star. Walked all this way to find a man with a car, hanging at the bar, champagne, caviar. No, you never seen a nigga like this.
Wanna see my cars on flatbed. Hey, this is a session, selling that crack, yeah. Niggas selling super sour and bionic glue, and got Superman powers when I'm stressed new. New Corvette looking like a transformer. No seatbelt screaming on my damn lawyer. Damn, I'm knee deep in the projects, and Hollywood ain't accepting no nigga from the project. New Corvette looking like a transformer. No seatbelt screaming on my damn lawyer. Damn, I'm knee deep in the projects, and Hollywood ain't accepting no nigga from the project. New Corvette looking like a transformer. No seatbelt screaming on my damn lawyer. New Corvette looking like a transformer. No seatbelt screaming on my damn lawyer. New Corvette looking like a transformer. No seatbelt screaming on my damn lawyer. Damn, I'm knee deep in the projects, and Hollywood ain't accepting no nigga from the project. New Corvette looking like a transformer. No seatbelt screaming on my damn lawyer. Damn, I'm knee deep in the projects, and Hollywood ain't accepting no nigga from the project. New Corvette looking like a transformer. No seatbelt screaming on my damn lawyer. Damn, I'm knee deep in the projects, and Hollywood ain't accepting no nigga from the project. Yeah. John Dillinger shit. Corvette looking like a transformer. No seatbelt screaming on my damn lawyer. Damn, I'm knee deep in the projects, and Hollywood ain't accepting no nigga from the project. New Corvette looking like a transformer. No seatbelt screaming on my damn lawyer. Damn, I'm knee deep in the projects, and Hollywood ain't accepting no nigga from the project. John Dillinger shit. Niggas in the hood wanna see my cars on flatbed. Hey, this is a recession, selling that crack, yeah. Niggas selling super sour and bionic glue, and got Superman powers when I'm stressed new. New Corvette looking like a transformer. No seatbelt screaming on my damn lawyer. Damn, I'm knee deep in the projects, and Hollywood ain't accepting no nigga.
It's good evening. Good evening. Thank y'all for tuning in to another episode of Front Line Blacc News. This is season 3, episode 10, part 2. We didn't get through we didn't finish up part 1 yesterday, so we're doing a part 2 today. And we will be continuing where we left off last night with discussing the Atlanta City Council approves funding for Cop City after very heated city council public hearing and murder of peaceful protester Manuel Teran, aka RIP in January. Black mother of 4 killed in Florida by a neighbor after dispute over playing children. And update, her murderer Susan was finally arrested. And then we got our Unhoused Neighbor News and our Unhoused Neighbor Suites. So, Bacchus, thank you for joining me tonight. I thought we
Yes, sir, absolutely.
I don't know if they're going to be able to join us. Shout out to the viewer.
Okay, man, I'm Shabaka Corey, or co-executive producer of the podcast Shabaka's Black Experience Enhanced, coming to you from Las Vegas, Nevada tonight. Before we get started, Brother Paris, I just want to add this tidbit of information, man, that's developed recently here in Las Vegas. Okay, the local news has reported, repeat, the local news here in Las Vegas, Nevada has reported is that there might have been some extraterrestrial activity here in the city of Las Vegas, is because there was a bright flashing light that was caught on the body cam of a police officer who had responded to a call of a loud boom in somebody's backyard. Also, too, is that they did leave some markings on the terrain or the ground of where this happened at. Now, the markings could be set, as we know, all heard about Area 51 and all that good stuff. You've seen TV shows, UFOs, and things of that nature as well, too. Now, the individuals had stated that there was 2 figures, 8 to 10 feet tall, okay, with eyes and what have you, had showed up on their property. Now, the local news has reported it is because I saw it over here on social media and I just thought it was a bunch of bullshit. Okay, it's because on social media, all you get on there is a bunch of bullshit and very, very few reality, like Front Line Blacc News, which is real, Shabaka's Black Experience Enhanced, which is real, Jay Dizzle, which is real, and what have you. And then, of course, you get the ass scratchers, yassa bosses, brain dead motherfuckers, you know what I'm saying? But however, they can't help it. But however, though, I am keeping a close eye on this situation here in Las Vegas. Now, all I need is an intersection here in Las Vegas of where this UFO supposedly had landed, and I will travel to it. But from what I understand on the local news here, they stated that news crews did try to reach out to this residence of where the situation has occurred, and the people there have yet to answer the newsreels.
Shabaka, it looked like the people that they had interviewed were either foreigners or illegal immigrants or something, because they
right,
they barely spoke English. The people that they
right. And then one of the young men who allegedly had witnessed had did a video up on World Star Hip Hop, and when I saw that, it made me to believe that they was trying to boost their numbers over there. But it's very, very interesting of how they shadow ban Frontline Blacc News and Shabaka's Black Experience Enhanced. And dude, let me say to them punks out there in Silicon Valley, y'all full of shit, banning me for 5 days is because you don't dig what I'm saying, then I could, and I could really, I broke up. What about now?
Shabaka.
Yeah.
I lost you, Shabaka. Can't hear you.
What about now?
Shabaka, leave and
Oh,
come back in. You're pinwheeling. I don't know what just happened.
okay. Okay. Can you hear me now?
I'm gonna have to kick him out of the studio and come back in.
Okay.
You're pinwheeling,
All right.
Shabaka.
Okay. Hold on.
Okay, there you go.
Okay. Okay. You got me now?
Yeah.
Okay. All righty. Now, here's what's showing up here on this cell phone. Okay, with them doing that type of stuff right there, it just proves the point that we have stated all along. This artificial intelligence has us targeted is because, they don't dig the truth of what we said. No, I don't recognize no damn man as being a woman. Okay, that's impossible. Now, if this dude want to go out here and dress up in women's clothes and call himself whatever, he has his human rights and he has his civil rights, okay? But he does not have the right to tell me that he is a woman, okay? So if you all want to go up there and ban me for that, do it again. But I'll be damned if I'm going to sit up here and believe that pisses rain or somebody shitting on me is snow. Now,
Right.
the dump, as in human shit, okay? May he get convicted on all counts. You know what I'm saying? He is a criminal. But however, white America, that is what you voted for. And to me, he made all y'all look stupid. Okay. But it's very interesting that the guy, in my opinion, when the dump, as in human shit, first got in office, the first dude to bail out, who must have saw the handwriting on the wall way back then, was old Dumbo with the flappy ears, Jefferson Beauregard Sessions, the former Attorney General. It looked just like, yeah. He's Beauregard the third,
Yep.
Jeff Sessions. Oh,
Yep.
okay, with his Dumbo looking ass, you know what I'm saying? And so, he saw the handwriting on the wall, man. He got up out of there. The dump, as in human shit, okay, belongs in jail, and I hope he gets all the time that they give him. And according to one of our contributors that you're quite familiar with, Asher Buck's Black Experience Enhanced, says that he's got all these constitutional rights. And the question is, will he still have Secret Service protection while he's inside? They're already going to put him in. They're going to PC him up anyway. Okay,
Yeah.
so he'll probably have Secret Service protection, but he damn sure going to have some sympathizers guarding his special interests in there. Okay, and the dump, as in human shit, had made the statement when he was running for president that you got a lot of stupid people in politics. His administration, man, proved that point. Okay,
Well,
and we're not even going to talk.
back in the '90s, he said that. He said that in a Time magazine. He said that people were stupid in politics, and he was going to run as a Republican because people were stupid. But he's really a
Yes, sir.
Democrat.
Yes, sir. I definitely remember him saying that. When he was building his towers and stuff like that. I also remember when he had the Trump Taj Mahal there in Atlantic City, and you had a lot of world championship fights come from Taj Mahal in Atlantic City, or on
Yeah.
the boardwalk, as I call it. Yes, sir.
Before we get to the first topic of the night, we're gonna send a shout out to Lady Chase. She's not doing so good right now. Um,
Uh,
so we're gonna keep her in our thoughts and our prayers. I was hoping she was gonna be able to join us tonight, but she's in excruciating pain. She says so. I don't know. She might have to go to the
uh,
hospital if it doesn't stop. What's happening? All I can say is it's
okay.
time of the month and it's really bad. Um, so
Okay. Okay.
just let's get on this Cop City, Shabaka. So
Yes, sir.
Atlanta, ATL. Shout out to ATL. We got Black Panthers out there. Shout out to Yanga and crew.
Oh yeah, and you also have New Era Atlanta too.
Yes. Shout out to all of them. um, Atlanta has been a top city, and there's been protests behind it for almost this whole year, basically, since end of last year or early this year. And one of the protesters got killed back in January. Tortuguita, I believe I'm
Right.
saying his name right. Um, he got killed. He was just sitting Indian style, and the police said he had a weapon. There was no weapon on him, but they said he had a weapon, and they shot and killed him. They must have shot him like over 20 times uh, for peacefully protesting.
Oh man.
Um,
Okay, and those individuals should be arrested and walk in the concrete, and it should be murder in the first degree, because anytime you discharge your weapon with more than 20 bullets, you see what I'm saying? That proves intent, just like what happened to Laquan McDonald in Chicago, just like what happened to Eula Love in Los Angeles, where they shot her 32 times, and this
what happened with
garbage that.
Walker in Ohio? They shot him over what 80 times.
Yeah, and then just like in Vallejo, California, where they discharged over 60 rounds to an individual, who was in a car at a drive-through a restaurant. So what's happening here, black families, that there's a culture here that is out to exterminate and kill black men, just like Diamond Reynolds had said, who was the significant other of Mr. Philando Castile, who was gunned down by a
Yeah,
coward by the name of Yanez.
John has.
Okay. Yeah, Yanez or whatever.
Hmm.
You'll say, okay, so something is very, very peculiar. Well, not peculiar. They just keeping up with their history here of the United States. And as you know, Brother Paris, off of our research that we've been working together over the years, you do know that a lot of nations in Africa, in the Caribbean, that were putting travel advisories to those of African descent from the nations that are not in the United States about, being murdered by white police officers here. Now, as I stated before in the past, if you got a brother from the United States, a brother from Haiti, a brother from Nigeria, and one from Azania walking down the street together, particularly in a city like Los Angeles, when the lapdogs roll up, okay, they're gonna say when they do their report, when they report to headquarters for stopping 4 black males. So all this shit about that, I'm a Haitian, I'm an American, I'm a Nigerian and all that. We all Africans, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about in the eyes of the oppressor.
That goes so
But how?
far because even white people can claim that they're Africans, and we're seeing that with.
Well, sir, there's no such thing as a white African.
Well, we know that, but these mugs they think that they're African, and
Yeah,
um,
particularly and particularly the Boers. I'm saying that mainly to the Boers, is because, as I said, I'm sitting up here watching a fight about a year ago. It was a white dude, man, I think from England, and it was a Boer. And then the announcer's gonna say, "Well, this guy here's got the African in the corner and all that," and I stood there, I scratched my head. You know what I'm saying? I'm not an ass scratcher, but I scratched my head and I'm saying, well, where's the African at? I see 2 colonizers right there.
mhm.
Colonizer ain't no African. You know what I'm saying? Or a Kibalonian. You know what I'm saying? Or as they say on the continent, Kosa, Zulu, Ashanti. You know what I'm saying? Fulani.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Songhai.
Uh,
You know what I'm saying? And
the thing about it is, Shabaka, a lot those countries that we were stolen from don't even exist anymore. Those nations don't
yeah,
even exist
that's true
anymore.
too.
and we've been
They're
here for
facts.
years. So we
Hmm.
have culture here, and that's why FBA, DOAS is delineating because, like I said, Pan Africanism has been one sided. Nobody else has been pushing it,
Hmm.
but and enough is enough of that shit. It's either y'all gonna be down with the black cause,
Hmm.
or a lot of them that come over here
Hmm.
and everything but black. So how can there be
Hmm.
cohesion? How can there be solidarity if you're not even identified
Right.
with the struggle with the
No,
black?
you're right. Yes, sir. You're absolutely correct on that there, Brother Che. Is because what's happening is from the 1970s, as I have witnessed, particularly through the 80s and mainly through the 90s. They've been trying to push that agenda to divide us. Now, I remember seeing Minister Farrakhan speak in Los Angeles in 1985. I was younger than you.
Mhm.
And in his opening statement, he was stating, that we're all from the same continent and what have you. But however, like you said, we've been spread all over the world, and more the premise is being supported that we're the original man. You see what I mean?
Right.
It's because when you look at some of the COSA, I'm sorry, where Nelson Mandela is from. Okay, oh man, I forgot the name of it. But however, though, you would see, Asiatic features in them,
He's
like how you would see.
talking about the what are they called? The Kushan begins with a K.
Yeah,
Uh,
yes,
they look
yes,
Asian,
yes,
but
yes,
they're not.
yeah. And then, however, though, we're from the same region of where Miriam Makeba was from, and Hugh Masekela, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
In Azania. Yes, it is, because as you know, Ms. Makeba was a Kosa. And this is why in her language, when you hear a lot of her songs, she would make the click sound. And that is distinctive of the Kosa. Okay, then in the west of Africa, you have the Yoruba, you have the Igbo, you have the Ashanti. Okay, and as I stated before, when I was up there in the Bay Area, I went to a Starbucks over there by the Bayfair BART station, and there was a young woman there from the continent, who was serving me the coffee, and I just asked her. I said, "Are you Fulani, or are you Ashanti?" And she stated, and this is an exact quote, that she was Ashanti, and stated to me, "Well, if I was Fulani, I would look just like you." Okay.
Uh,
Now, keep in mind
we have a
is
lot of
that we did serve
there's a lot of
have a
similarities
lot of
there,
work.
but at the same time, there's a lot of similarities there. But at the same time, we are our own distinct ethnic group. We've been
Right.
removed from
You
Africa for
see.
at least 500 years, so we don't
Right.
even have a home country to to go back to. So it's like that we have established a culture here. So
Hmm.
everybody else takes pride in their culture and their nationality, but when we do it, it's a
Right.
problem.
Oh, yes, sir. And the reason why it is a problem is because, see, the main thing that the white man fears is black solidarity. Okay, they fear it at the federal level. They fear it at the state level. They fear it at the municipal level. Why do you think, they got Kamala Harris up there? Why do you think that the
Mhm.
majority of these elected officials are ashamed, and I'm going to say that they
Well,
are
a lot of
ashamed to admit, yeah,
well, we've already exposed the fact that the Congressional Black Caucus or Black Talkers isn't even FBA for the most part. A
yeah,
lot of
they're a
them
joke.
are immigrants, so they don't share the same struggle. They don't share the same plight as we do. They don't have the same experience that we do. So then, of course, they're not going to speak on it because they don't share that lineage.
Right. But here's the cool part about it, Brother Che, not cutting you off, sir. But here's the cool part about it. But when we get jacked up by the police, okay,
Yeah, all that
they're not asking.
the
Yeah,
white
yeah,
supremacy,
they ain't asking.
nigga. But
Yes,
we, as a people, do not see each other like that. We're not a monolith
right,
as a so there's different
right.
groups that all fall under the black umbrella.
Yes,
Just like
sir.
different ethnic groups that fall under the white umbrella. But see,
Yes, sir.
between them and us, besides the fact that we're not savages, they're on
Right.
code. We're not.
Yeah, 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 exactly. And then keep in mind is that the French, the British, or I'm just gonna call the British the Boers, okay? And let's see, no, the Boers were the Dutch. My bad. Okay,
Netherlands.
okay, and yeah, exactly. And then okay, the Belgians. Okay, yeah. And then
Goddamn.
when I did research on King Leopold about what he did, in the Congo, because the people there didn't want to go pick the rubber tree for Firestone in Goodyear. You see what I'm saying? And that's what.
Acquirement from my AP English course in high school was we had to read Heart of Darkness by Joseph Conrad,
Right.
and it goes into
Oh, okay.
detail, very vivid detail, on what went down in regards to the Belgians in the Congo, or at the time it was Zaire, and then before that was
Right.
Matam. What went down in
Yeah.
Matam in regards to the rubber. And like you said, Shabaka, Firestone, Goodyear, all them,
Mm-hmm.
they got started because of that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And that there would coincide at the time what that there would be, man, like about the 1910s,
No,
the
before that,
1920s.
all
Yeah.
well, Leopold was king of Belgium, and like right after the Civil War here in the United States. So like during Reconstruction
Okay.
time here in the United States.
Okay.
And remember, that's when they had the scramble for Africa in 1884.
Right. Yes, sir.
Berlin Conference.
Berlin Conference. Yes, sir.
Carved
Okay.
Africa up like a pie in each European
Exactly.
piece.
Yeah. And and how they just go on there and how they just go up there and help themselves, with their arrogance. And then too, just like, it's the same mentality like of the dump, as in human shit. And the
Yeah,
transvestite, the transsexual, the panties, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, Governor, the panties, I'm calling you a punk. Yeah, straight out. Calling you a
yeah,
punk. And I'll never spend a damn dime in your state again. Yes.
yeah. Boycott Florida. I mean, don't spend no money in Florida. Don't take no trips to
Yeah.
Florida. Don't go to no Disney
All
World.
that.
Don't go to Universal Studios. Don't go to no Sea World. Don't go to South Beach. Don't go to Daytona Beach.
None of it. None of it.
That mug. Don't spend no money in Florida. Period.
Yep. Yes,
But
sir.
to the neighbor to the north in Georgia, we got this Cop City situation, and they had a hearing this past Monday at City Council. You know how we have City Council every Monday here in Denver,
Right.
but they had their City
Yes.
Council in Atlanta, and it was very heated. So I want to play a little bit of the speeches because the brothers are just
Absolutely.
going off. I hope this is the right video. Where are we at? I'm showing the show right now. I just had to hear this. Okay. It's really hard to hear.
Nothing to do with proclamations, commendations, and other special awards. We don't have any proclamations on the agenda today. So we'll next move to statements by elected officials. I do know that we have one elected official to speak today, State Representative Roman. As an elected official, you will have up to 10 minutes in which to speak.
I don't want to hear from that goddamn coon. I want to get to
Right. Right. Yeah, later for the ass scratchers.
Right.
They're dangerous.
Oh yeah, big time. Well, you know, white supremacy is in blackface now.
Oh, indeed. Indeed. And then I did put it out there, and my suspects are the ones who reported our podcast is preaching hate, man. I'm down to 100 people on my suspects. So anybody who's sending me friends requests on Facebook, I definitely appreciate it. But there's going to be about a 10-day delay before I decline your friendship or before I accept it, is because somebody's hating out there on us real big. Okay. And which is fine, because we knew this type of stuff would happen when we had started this podcast and when we had started the platform of Front Line Blacc News. And this is why we have the picture up there, new movie coming out called Coons, starring the majority of you niggas.
Okay, here we go. Whenever it's finished pinwheeling.
Bad legislation. My Southern Center conducted like an hour conversation with you all from this very point and told you that legislation that when I say do it like this, don't ignore people or the processes or your own hesitation. I the number of you have an issue that the process went down. You all were told it and then asked for it. I know so many of you don't like the we're talking about the domestic charges and things already. I'm asking you to do your job in good governance. We can argue over power. I have at least, but that's because I had it in my head when I was 14 years old. That's my issue, right? There's a difference disagreeing about power, and you are going with bad legend. First time I had to come and tell y'all about bad legend, I know that some of you all might regret DC lease. And I will remind you, it was designed to get Fulton County Jail. We were told that they would move of 100 a month. Movements began in as of this morning.
To LaShawn,
158 in ACDC. There's still hundreds of men on the jail floor at Rice Street. It's not because you all just made a policy decision. It's because you legislation. Self and others at such like an hour-long conversation with you all from this very and told you the portions of that legislation would not work. And damn it. I'll be damned if you won't. And I don't come here to brag about that or boast about that, but I'm here to tell you that before. I'm telling you it again. There's nothing flawed. Eggs are rotten and you're still trying to make an omelet. I have done a great job in certain areas of transparency. The martyr situations, those things. The true transparency is selective. If we're going to be transparent, damn it, let's be transparent well. It's up with the money.
Okay, if I may say, Brother Paris, is while we try to get the telemetry back, on the brother from Atlanta, is that I've been through Atlanta. It is blighted, and the majority of the homeless that I saw in the city of Atlanta were black men. Also, too, another element that I saw in Atlanta, was that feminine element, if you know what I mean. Okay. See, so when the black when the black family unit breaks down and the father is put up out of the home, the boys have no role model to look up to. You see, even when you look at a herd of elephants, okay, is that when the baby elephants, are coming into maturity, they start, the young males are going off with the older male of the elephants, and the same thing with the female elephants. You see, elephants are very, very intelligent creatures. You know what I'm saying? They are far from stupid. You know, very peaceful until you piss them off. Okay, and then also too that when we look at these miseducated fools like Thomas Sewell, uh, Cornell West, what have you, and I'm very sorry to say that about Dr. West is because I did have a lot of respect for him over the years. But what we saw on him, man, in the last year or so, man, is very, very disheartening. You know what I'm saying? Very disheartening. And as you know, Brother Paris, I've traveled in certain circles with educators and what have you. You know what I mean? And what's happening is that with each generation, okay, with your generation, those after, they are most definitely are making an attempt through social media, through Hollywood, as our East Coast correspondent, Brother Isaiah, calls it, and shout out there to Brother Isaiah. We ain't heard from him in a while, but we definitely wish him the best because, he's getting his music together, which is a good thing. Young man has youth on his side. Okay. All right. But anyway, though, is that the effeminization and the demasculation of the black male is a situation of utter importance that needs to be addressed. Okay, look, I see up on social media, number 32 for the Lakers. They retired his jersey. Magic. I see him with a picture of his son. And no disrespect to you, Mr. Johnson. You and I are the same age. And it's just incredible of how his son calls himself Fantasia. And the young man is effeminized, man.
Yeah.
The brother's effeminized, man. Yeah, and yeah, okay, and then the Dwayne Wade situation where he's talking about that he's gonna have his son changed into a girl, and then that sick bitch, Charlene Theron, who's a boy, is raising two African children or two children from the continent and raising them as girls. What is that shit?
Well, but in modern day slavery, they adopt 24.
Yeah.
They can do it. So after 6 months, they're gonna look at the child. They they say, "Oh well, we don't have to go to school. It needs you to cook and clean this big ass mansion.
Right.
I better life like they white savior, and they kids as domestic servants, slaves, and they know that because like I said, because membership in the 90s, why are these white people, all these kids,
Well, you see, in my travels, okay, because in my travels too, as you're aware of, Brother Che, is that I did see a few of our children, who are obviously adopted by colonizers, you know what I'm saying? And when I see black children with the colonizers, the first thing will go through my mind is, is this baby being abused? Is this baby being exploited?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then just like with a lot of our women, who go off the continent, going to these foreign countries like India and Europe, and I would imagine here in the goddamn United States as well too. Abusing, African women, just like, they did on the plantation system and what have you. And you Beckys and you Karens, I got low regard for y'all, particularly with that raggedy bitch down there in Florida that made bail for murdering, those children's mother.
Shabaka, we're gonna get to that right after Cop City. So I wanted to
Yes,
play
sir.
a little bit more.
Okay,
People
define Cop
feel
City. Yes, sir.
so. Cop It's a training facility that the police in Atlanta, Georgia, want to create as a ghost city. So it's gonna be a whole city uh, that's gonna be used for training purposes. They're saying. Now, why would you want to
Yes,
do
sir.
that? If you, it's a FEMA camp.
Exactly. And then also too, Brother Paris, to support your premise even further, what they're doing is that they're gonna have urbanized police officers trained as military personnel in combat situations, you see. So this is what they are gearing up for. And of course they would do it down there in Atlanta, Georgia, is because, one, Dr. King was born there. Two, Atlanta, Georgia at one time was very prosperous for black business. I've been through Atlanta, Georgia, as you know. The countryside was beautiful. It was in the winter months, so I was not in the humidity of the South. But like I said, I could hear the crime, the brutalization of our people of generations down there in the state of Georgia. And also, too, I did go through Augusta, GA, and I did go on James Brown Boulevard. But get rid of Cop City because all what they're doing is setting up the police for paramilitary action to exterminate black men. Not so much black women, but black men. Black men are being targeted for effeminization, for incarceration, and to be murdered.
Yep. We are
And as
expendable.
Dr. Huey Yes, sir. And as Dr. Huey Percy Newton had stated when he was sitting in Alameda County Jail in 1968, the police in the community, they're there to brutalize us, they're there to terrorize us, they're there to contain us, and they're there to kill us.
I'm gonna even go even one step further. As the enforcement arm of racism and white supremacy, their sole purpose
Oh,
is
yes, sir.
full effects.
Oh, absolutely. 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 And then, unfortunately, like what happened with Mr. Nichols down there in Memphis, Tennessee, where he was murdered by four black officers with gang-like mentality. Okay, which was they wasn't going out there, for justice or anything or enforcing any laws. Is that Mr. Nichols was targeted by these gangbangers with badges? Is because Mr. Nichols was having an affair with one of their colleagues' ex-wives.
You know who
So,
that
of course,
was by the police chief. So the same police chief that
oh,
came up with the red dogs in Atlanta came up with the
yes, sir.
scorpions. And those officers, those five
Okay,
officers, were part of the scorpion unit.
yes, sir. And then keep in mind is that the Memphis police chief, CJ, As she came up through the ranks in the Atlanta Police Department, her husband was a damn pedophile.
Yep, they condone that
And
shit.
another platform, yes, sir. And I'm very sorry to see black men be pedophiles. I have no sympathy for a pedophile. You know what I'm saying? You know, when you swinging a damn Johnson, it's a certain responsibility that goes with it. You see what I'm saying? Okay, a certain amount of respect that goes with it.
Hmm.
Now, for all of our sisters out there that talking about that they don't need a man and what have you, sister, I feel bad for you too. But however, I understand why, due to the ma'afa of why black women feel this way. And then you got a lot of our black women who are going down there bed wenching with the colonizer. Okay, this is conditioning of the plantation system in Atlanta, in New Orleans, Louisiana, in Charlotte, Carolina, Charleston, South Carolina. You see what I'm saying? Columbia, South Carolina, as you know, where our colleagues, you know, are out of, you know, down there. Definitely a shout out there to them. You know, Brother Dynamite, you know, and Sheikah Imam Akbar and the rest of the crew down there. Definitely a shout out there to Sister Dr. Truth Bay out of Los Angeles. The great work that what she's doing of telling the state of California to cut the goddamn check. Okay, and and what it is black family, we are all we got, and I'm going to keep emphasizing that, man, until my transition, because I cannot go before the ancestors with my head held high, knowing that I did not do my best, you know, to bring the solidarity uh, to us, and that there is off of the era, you know, that I grew up in my what do they call that in your not
Yes.
formidable your
Form.
developmental years, yeah, your youth, your adolescence, your youth, which is the time of the black empowerment era. But however, Hollywood has always pushed these damn Yasa bosses. Okay. And the sad part about it is, look what they tried to do to Dr. Cosby.
Hmm.
Bill Cosby was heavy. You see what I'm saying? In my opinion, Jim Brown, may he rest in power. You know, he did have a pro black stand, but Big Jim had a lot of personal issues. And for those of you who had cussed me out on Facebook behind Big Jim, just pull up his rap sheet out of Los Angeles County. You know what I'm saying? And it's all public record. Big Jim had a lot of issues, but I'm not taking away from Big Jim of his contribution, you know, in the Black empowerment era as well too, is because he did stand by the heavyweight champion, as did young Kareem Abdul-Jabbar did, as well as Jim Shorter did, when the heavyweight champion, you know, had refused induction, and rightfully
Famous
so.
picture of
And
all of that.
then,
Remember that
huh?
famous picture took of all of them?
Oh yes, sir. Absolutely, absolutely. Now, also too, tribute to another ancestor, the great Jackie Robinson,
Oh Lord.
who died at the age, yeah, he died at the age of 53. Okay. Jackie Robinson grew up in a place called Pasadena, California, although he was not born there. But prior to his transition, that he stated in Jet Magazine, Johnson Publications, okay, he stated that he knew in 1919, like he knew in 1947, that he knew like in 1972, that he never had it made.
Hmm.
And he was only 53 years old when he transitioned. So, you know, I outlived Mr. Robinson. And the only thing I can say about that is that he was absolutely right about that. And they did, through the welfare system, kick the black male up out of the household, you see. Then as he migrated north into industrial centers like Detroit, Chicago, Cincinnati, Cleveland, Pittsburgh,
Yeah.
Pennsylvania, New York City,
Hold
they
on.
made it a point.
Bring
to
that up,
keep him.
because we're still waiting on them Biden supporters.
Oh, yes, sir, absolutely. And yeah, and we still waiting on you Biden supporters to give us a call. You can call us this Tuesday, 6 p.m. at 516-418-5996. And we definitely want to hear from all of you who was around at the time when Biden had pushed that federal crime bill that led to mass incarceration of black males. Okay, and I see we got uh somebody there wishing us here on our telemetry right there. Okay, Janae Barnett, I believe is her name. Greetings to you. Okay, but as we're saying, brother Jesse, is that these coons that they got out here, man, who calling themselves representing us, man. These Herschel bars, man, these Warlocks, man, these Uncle Tim Scotts, man, these motherfuckers have got to go.
Oh yeah,
And I mean, we got to say that on a collective basis that these people do not represent us. The Congressional Black Caucus, y'all might as well go clean Massa's toilets and be his slave again, because you idiots are extremely dysfunctional and you are unnecessary. And I doubt it very, very seriously that the majority of the black community feels that you represent them. Only thing you niggas is doing is selling us down the toilet. That's all you doing. Doing it for Massa. And then when Massa gets through with your black ass, he's gonna throw your ass to the motherfucking hounds too.
yeah, we
But
seeing that
however,
shit. We're seeing that
yes,
shit
sir.
right here.
But
Goddamn
yes,
Joe.
sir. But however, yeah. But however, brother Paris, politicians that try to do the right thing, such as yourself, you know what I'm saying? More power to y'all. Keep up the fight. You know what I mean? And then, okay, we getting them back right here on the public comment.
Yeah, we need to. Because we're just talking.
Yeah.
Legislation. This time I didn't talk to you about bad legislation. I know that some of you all have great regret behind the ACDC lease. And I will remind you, that was a lease that was designed to get men off the floor at Fulton County Jail. And we were told that they would move men at a pace of 100 a month. And those movements began in November. They're bugs. As of this morning, just 158 men in ACDC. There's still hundreds of men on the jail floor at Rice Street. And it's not because you all just made a bad policy decision, it's because you made bad legislation. Myself and others at Southern Center conducted like an hour-long from this very table and told you the portions of that legislation would not work. And I'll be damned. I'll be damned if we weren't right. And I don't come here to brag about that or boast about that, but I'm here to tell you, if I've told you that before, I'm telling you it again. There is something flawed in the sauce. The eggs are rotten and you're still trying to make an omelet. You all have done a great job in certain areas of exercising transparency. The MARTA situation is one of those things. But true transparency is not selective. If we're going to be transparent, damn it, be transparent everywhere. What is up with the money? We've heard that the cost of it is $67 million, but I would argue that the cost is greater. Because understand that the land that we're talking about was gifted away to APF for $10. I wish I could buy 300 acres of land for $10 a year. And then
$10.
You are paying the least of
the so-called what the fuck they call them, explorers paid $15 to the native tribes for Manhattan.
Oh yeah, yeah, I heard about that. Yeah, yeah, and then also too, in regard to that, in regard to the natives as well too. Just changing the subject, I came across some material that a sister had presented about Lewis and Clark. Okay, who had traveled, with a native woman, but they also had a slave with them too.
Yeah, York.
And yeah, and exactly, and when you travel Highway 12, yeah, it's gonna take you like from Washington State to Idaho, because you're going out of Clarkston, Washington, into Lewiston, Idaho. Get it? They're right across. I believe that's the Snake River, if I got my geography right on it. Okay. And they had walked, all that. It was a very beautiful country. And I could just imagine, what it was like without the highways and the roads right there. Very, very rural. And so the brother had asked for his freedom, and he says, "Hey, Master Lewis, can I have some these trees now? I worked my ass out getting y'all way out here." And they beat his ass. They probably left him out there, and let the elements deal with him.
Shabaka, Bianca's tuning in.
Oh, Bianca?
Yeah.
Hey, Bianca. Okay, she could join us. But anyway, yeah. Okay. And so, going through there, Brother Che, just like going through the South, the ancient African proverb, listen to the wind and hear the stories of long ago. And I did cross some of the Nez Perce land. And of course, we know about the Trail of Tears, Chief Joseph, or the Thomas Jefferson.
We could do a whole show on. We got to get back to this public comment, or we're gonna be on Cop City all night, and there's no way I'm gonna
okay,
do
you're
all this.
moving. Okay, yeah. Okay.
Buy your own land back. That is crazy. They took out a loan and you're paying for it. Your general fund that you don't have, because the legislation also states that you are going to authorize the CFO to take out a $30 million bond to pay for it. You're robbing from Peter to pay the police.
Robbing from Peter to pay the police.
There's so much good that money could do. I have to do something with it. I ask you again to consider actually investing and funding the prevention. You want to prevent violence, but we ain't doing it. You have a staff of one. Okay? And I don't often come to this podium to criticize. I wish I could talk about folks not. But if you don't understand, don't speak. Environmental racism is literally hard to read about. I want you all to understand your souls are. I don't know how many pieces of stuff it costs for to do his business the way that he does. But I ask that you say that the compensation required for your soul is the voice of the people. Time's expired. Pay for it. Okay. Next will be Joanne Thornton. and you'll have up to 2 minutes.
Good afternoon, Council. Good afternoon. I want to make sure everybody's up. Before I start, I'm Joya Thornton, National Policy Strategist at the Southern Center for Human Rights. I want to make a procedural note that they are not allowing folks to sign up outside. So we definitely need to make that note and stop Cop City.
Thank you. Next will be Shannon Gabriel. You'll have up to 2 minutes. Everyone, per the rules of code, there's not going to be a sign up. Whoever is here, when we get to the committee of the whole on the agenda, will be allowed to speak for 2 minutes. That's the way committee of the whole.
That's bullshit. That's complete bullshit. That's what they do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they say so. Therefore, you're seeing a trend here, Brother Parrish, rather if it's Atlanta, Los Angeles, Oakland, Denver, Chicago. Okay, is that they want to, to keep putting all this money into these murdering ass goddamn race soldiers. You see what I'm saying? But they don't want to do nothing to go build up some jobs or some trade centers or to make people computer literate, since they all going with this digital bullshit. Okay, it's because, as we had stated, is that they definitely gonna have Robocop for your ass. Oh yeah. They're going to have Robocop for your ass, robot cops with no feeling, no mercy, robot dogs, you know what I'm saying? Because what they doing, ladies and gentlemen, in my opinion, with this artificial intelligence, you're going to have all this artificial intelligence being a Robocop, being a police dog. You're going to have and the cold part about it is that I honestly, it's not what?
It's coming, Shabaka, if it ain't already here.
Oh, yes, sir. That's my point, Brother Paris. Is already here, but it's not in full force yet. It basically is that they got the inventory of these motherfuckers in their warehouses, but they ain't deployed them yet. See, that's what I'm getting at. You can have them in Los Angeles, the lap dogs,
on a national event. Yeah, I mean, but they killed Micah Johnson with a damn robot. I mean,
yeah, and salute to Micah Johnson. Yeah, and definitely a salute to Micah Johnson. Definitely a salute, you know what I'm saying, to our brother out there in Los Angeles, Christopher Dorner. Okay, because both those men knew that they were doomed. Okay, and Christopher Dorner, okay, he exposed, the racism and brutalization of the lapdogs. Okay, Michael Johnson, he went down there, put some work in Atlanta. I'm sorry, down there in Dallas. You see, and I'll never forget when Brother Johnson had did his thing in Dallas. Early the next morning, I was in Panthertown on my way to Starbucks to open up, waiting for Starbucks to open up. And I saw them putting the Oakland Tribune, or the East Bay News as they call it now, and the San Francisco Chronicle in the newspaper rack. So gentleman asked me, "Hey man, do you want a free paper?" I said, "Yeah." And on the headlines, it was a picture of a race soldier, a sergeant at that, a coon at that, sitting up there crying. And I laughed my ass off. And I said to myself, well, motherfucker, it don't feel good when the rabbit got the gun, huh? Say, all you cops go out there with that bullshit, violate the laws that you swear to uphold and to protect. And then when somebody lays a playing field against your ass, all of a sudden, you shitting and pissing on yourself. You coward motherfucker, you shouldn't have had the
Yeah,
job
but
in the first goddamn place.
all cops regards to this. So, there was almost 11 hours of testimony, y'all, and they still went through and approved it. So I'm gonna play the approval video, and then
Okay.
I got some comments from some of the people involved in that lunch now, and then they're gonna have a plan to stop Cop City at the ballot. Let me move on. The computer's freezing up.
Okay, it could be, fucking with the algorithms again. Because we are
No, I just
targeted
have to wait till the
here.
windows open.
Additional recreation and transportation options for folks. When implemented, the result will be roughly acre territory where nature is woven into the built environment, creating spaces that are unprecedented within Atlanta's perimeter highway. Those are the whereas clauses proposed to be added to the paper. I move to adopt them. Motion to amend, I believe. Motion to amend. Yep. There's a motion to amend by Councilman Faroki. Is there a second to the motion? Second by Councilman Norwood. Seeing discussion on the motion to amend 23-0-1257. Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. Madam Clerk, please open the vote on the motion to amend.
The vote is open. Will everyone please vote?
Oh, they got 15 council people. No. Wait, this is
12 yeas, 2 nays.
12 yeas, 2 nays. The motion to amend carries. All right.
This is very interesting, Shabaka. So there's 2 blacks that voted yes, and there's 3 blacks that voted yes, and 2 blacks that voted no.
Wow. Well, when they do this here, Brother Parrish, just
they got 2 more council people than Denver does. Same number that LA has.
Okay. Yeah, because I think Atlanta is bigger than Denver population wise.
We're in the top,
Yeah, and traveling through Atlanta, I did go by Georgia State University, and I see down there in Atlanta, like Los Angeles, they still have some of the memorabilia, from when they had the Olympiad in 1996. But it was good seeing, a lot of black folks together there in a black city. But once again, it is the mindset.
Shabaka.
Wasn't that what? Yes, sir.
In 96, wasn't there a bombing in Atlanta or a planned bombing?
Oh, yes, sir.
The
Yes, sir. It
Olympics?
most certainly was. Yes, sir. They did have a situation there, with an explosive device at the 1996 Olympics. And the reason why I remember the 1996 Olympics is because Muhammad Ali was there, and he was the one that lit the torch for the opening games. It's because before the Olympiad, when all the athletes march in, then they light the torch, and the torch generally stays on during the time of the Olympiad. Because I know and I witnessed them do that in Los Angeles as well too in 1984. And the torch stays up, or it's supposed to stay up.
Atlanta, probably land-wise, is bigger than Denver, but population-wise, we got like 250,000 more people.
Oh, okay, that's interesting. Okay, it's because Atlanta had been there, I believe, since the 1820s, if I'm not mistaken. Because I do know Atlanta was definitely.
It was one of the capitals.
I do know Atlanta.
It was one.
Yes, and I do know it was a major slave market in Atlanta as well too. Now, also too, for those of you who are OTB, meaning other than Black, that tune in to us, this is not hatred that we are talking about. Okay, this is grave injustices that was done to our people through white racism, through the panties of Florida, your George Wallaces, okay, your individuals such as the dump in human shit, okay, and the transvestite, the panties of Florida. Yeah, Governor,
right, so
the panties.
Shabaka,
Yeah, I dare your ass to call in our platform. Yes, sir.
So that's how they voted. So they voted in favor of it. So the next video
of Cop
is
City.
About how upset we are about this, basically.
Yes, sir. As well as we should be.
I closed the gang of windows, and I can still.
Well, we begin today's show in Atlanta, Georgia, where residents shattered the record for turnout at a city council meeting Monday, as thousands lined up to voice their opposition to the construction of a massive police training facility known as Cop City. Atlanta police enforced enhanced security as people signed up to participate in a public comment session ahead of a vote to approve $30 million in additional funding for Cop City, bringing the total to $67 million, more than double the original estimate. It would be the largest police training facility in the country. This comes after an Atlanta police SWAT team, guns drawn, raided the Atlanta Solidarity Fund last Wednesday and arrested 3 people who've been raising money to bail out protesters opposed to Cop City, charging them with money laundering and charity fraud. Georgia Democratic Senator Reverend Raphael Warnock criticized the arrests in a statement Sunday, saying, quote, "While we still don't have all the details, as a pastor who's long been engaged in justice work, I'm concerned by what we know about last Wednesday's show of force against the organizers of the Atlanta Bail Fund and the questions it raises," he said. Those arrests come as 42 protesters face charges including domestic terrorism for opposing Cop City, and after Atlanta police shot dead the environmental activist Manuel Tortuguita Teran in January. An autopsy shows they were sitting with their hands raised
up in front of their body when police shot them 57 times. This is Muskogee Indigenous leader Neko Chabon addressing the Atlanta City Council on Monday.
I am a part of Methodist structure. I have been a part of the United Nations Permanent Forum on Indigenous issues. I have been with conversations of human rights all across the world. I have walked with refugee camps in other parts and other nations of indigenous peoples. I've seen situations just like what we're going through here in other countries. I've seen things going on where people have been killed, just like what we're trying to say should never happen here, all over the world, and I don't want that to increase. Every time in these countries I shared with them, no matter what, how you slice it, the increasing of more militarized mechanism never establishes a peaceful society. No matter what. It never accomplishes what your hopes, what your arguments are. In fact, it does quite the opposite. In fact, our community, we are already living through the living proof of that at this moment. Today, I think it's obvious. I don't support Cop City.
Monday's Atlanta City Council meeting started in the afternoon and continued for nearly 15 hours until about 5 a.m. this morning. At one point, protesters broke out in song as public comment continued.
Recess has expired. Recess has expired. Recess has expired.
Man, they need a new record, man. Y'all just singing that same bullshit, man. Come on, man. This is the goddamn 21st century, man.
The Atlanta City Council voted 11-4 to fund the Cop City facility. For more, we go to Atlanta for an update. Marlon Counts is with us, an organizer with Solidarity, who's one of the 3 people arrested last Wednesday and just spent 4 days in jail. So with us, one of the first to speak during Monday's public comment session, Reverend James Woodall. He's a policy associate at the Southern Center for Human Rights and co-author of Wired for Racism: How Evolution and Faith Challenge Racial Idolatry. We welcome you both to Democracy Now! Reverend Woodall, let's begin with you. When you arrived at the Atlanta City Hall to give your public comment, can you talk about security and protocol to enter the premises that you'd ever experienced before? Just describe the scene for us, you said.
Start by saying thank you for having us on the show today. And when we entered Atlanta City Hall, we were met with bomb dogs. We were met with officers donning AR-15s. We had folks in riot gear. We saw a heightened level of security, both in protocol, meaning when we entered into the City Hall, we couldn't even bring in food or water. And people were planning to be there literally all day and all night and not even be able to bring in Gatorade. I had to throw my Gatorade out and I had to walk out of the City Hall, throw it out and come back in. And you know, it took a miracle essentially to be able to even bring pizza in towards the portions of the afternoon into the evening. And we saw law enforcement officers really on every single of the City Hall in the inside of the atrium. And so I had never seen that kind of activity in which our law enforcement response would essentially, criminalize in some ways what we were trying to do, which
And Reverend, I wanted to ask you, the mayor of Atlanta has claimed that much of the opposition is from outside agitators and a white movement. Could you talk about your own history in Atlanta and why you got involved in this movement?
Oh, for sure. I'm a sixth generation Atlantan. In fact, my grandmother's granddad, his dad, purchased property in the heart of the west end of Atlanta off of Finley Avenue for essentially $83 without a mortgage. And so our family has been in the heart of Atlanta for almost a century. And so, and I'm talking before the Emancipation Proclamation, and several dozens and hundreds of other people. In fact, almost every single person that we saw and heard from last night and yesterday afternoon was from Atlanta. Now, granted, there are people who are not from Atlanta as well, but we're fighting for liberty and justice for all, which they pledged their allegiance to for the flag of this yet to be United States. And so if there's injustice anywhere, there's a threat to justice everywhere. And unfortunately, again, democracy has failed us because that is just simply not the case. And so when I think about what the mayor said, in fact, I'll even tell you, is that the mayor's mother taught my grandmother how to do hair, which taught my mom how to do hair. And so when I think about how I got involved in this work, and I'm seeing what's happening on the ground each and every day inside of our facilities, I'm seeing, children and college students pulled out of cars and being tagged and not laser tagged, but essentially targeted for being at the wrong place at the wrong time. I'm seeing people literally die at the hands of law enforcement, both here in the city of Atlanta and surrounding these counties and cities. Because this is not just about the city of Atlanta. We're going to see departments and agencies all over the nation send its people, send its law enforcement and first responders here to train on urban warfare. And what we saw last Wednesday, what we've seen over the course of the last few months as it relates to domestic terrorism charges, it is concerning and is exactly the kind of reason why we stand in complete opposition to this project.
And this was a marathon meeting of the Atlanta City Council. Your response to the outcome and the vote, and did you get a sense that any members of the City Council were moved at all by the testimony?
Well, what I'll tell you is that is an example and is indicative that our democracy has died. And the spirit of democracy has died because and you see both parties. This isn't a red versus blue, Democrat versus Republican kind of issue. We saw Republicans come out in opposition. We saw Libertarians come out in opposition. You saw Democrats come out in opposition. You saw people who are not affiliated with any of these above come out in opposition. And when you see elected officials choose the side not of the people, right? Not of justice and liberty for all, but when you see elected officials take the side of corporate executives and nonprofit leaders who to dollars, right? What we should be talking about is charity fraud on behalf of the Atlantic Public Foundation because of what we've seen them do, and numbers have just not added up. And so I'm concerned that our democracy is dead because our elected officials are not representing the people, regardless of who they vote for.
I wanted to bring in Marlon Couts into the conversation with Reverend James Woodall. Marlon is with the Atlanta Solidarity Fund, one of the 3 people arrested on Wednesday. This was just days before this critical Atlanta City Council vote, where they voted to approve what's now more than double the amount of original proposed for this facility. Marlon, if you can talk about, how unusual the level of force was in raid not only has helped people who've been arrested around the cop city, but you do this around for many people who have been arrested.
Absolutely. It was terrifying, obviously. You have to forgive my voice. I'm still feeling the effects of the better half of a week in we woke up to the sound of our door being broken down by a battering ram and our house being surrounded by dozens of SWAT officers. And my first reaction was that this has to be a mistake. Naively, I thought this wasn't the kind of thing that could happen to organizers like us. But once I saw the automatic weapons, the body armor, and I heard police discussing throwing a flashbang into our living room, I realized that these police had come prepared to kill us in the same way that police have come prepared to kill activists protesting in the forest, and in fact did kill Manuel Tortuguita Teran. So we quickly surrendered. We were arrested in our pajamas and taken to jail. So the experience was terrifying on two different levels. In this immediate way, what it was like to face that kind of police violence for doing nothing more than nonviolent work to support the rights of protesters.
Okay, Brother Paris. I see we froze. Okay, Jesse, you there?
Sorry, Shabaka, the whole computer crashed on me.
Okay. Okay, hold on. Let me get back to you there. Okay. All right, now I'm up here playing games, man, with this Facebook crap.
Which not only has helped people who've been arrested around the cop city, but you do this around for many people who have been arrested.
Absolutely. Yeah, in terms of the raid,
Okay, I'm back.
It was terrifying, obviously. You have to forgive my voice. I'm still feeling the effects of the better half of a week in the DeKalb County Jail. But, we woke up to the sound of our door being broken down by a battering ram and our house being surrounded by dozens of SWAT officers. And my first reaction was that this has to be a mistake. Naively, I thought this wasn't the kind of thing that happened to organizers like us. But once I saw the automatic weapons, the body armor, and I heard police flashbang into our living room, I realized that these police had come prepared to kill us in the same way that police have come prepared to kill activists protesting in the forest and in fact did kill Manuel Tortuguita Teran.
Fast forward.
Raid on the Atlanta Solidarity Fund with weapons drawn by a SWAT team. But if you can comment on why you are concerned about a police training facility, isn't that what you would want police to be trained better?
It's exactly what I don't want, because when we think about police training, we're not talking about police training. We're talking about an infrastructure project. We have yet to talk about what they're being trained to do. In fact, if you were to look at it, and I've been in this work a long time, and every time we talk about police training, we're talking about a furthering militarization of law departments or law enforcement officers. We're not talking about de-escalation. We're not talking about ensuring that there is equitable accountability for law enforcement officers who disregard the training that they were already invoked in the earlier parts of their career and continuing in that professional development. We're not talking about the fact that every single officer in cases of police and police involved death in the last 10, 12 years, and that's just a small segment of the history. And we're not talking about the fact that they have been trained, and they've been trained very thoroughly, and yet these people still are dying. And so what we were organizing around in 2020, we've organized around after the murder of Breonna Taylor, George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, after the deaths of Tatiana Jefferson, and so many others. I can go down the list. What we were calling for was accountability and true justice. And this $90 million that people are saying is necessary for us to have better policing really is an insult. Because what we're not saying is that we want to build a system of public safety that's inclusive of all of us, not just law enforcement, because that is the political football that people can throw so that they can win elections. This is what that is about. We have an Attorney General in Chris Carr who led that raid on Atlanta Solidarity Fund, who's trying to posture himself to run for governor. We have a governor in Brian Kemp who signed off and endorsed that action as he tries to promote someone running for president and himself possibly for the United States Senate. We have Senator Warnock and Ossoff, who also weighed in only after a lot of immense pressure on behalf of organizers who were pissed off that they refused to say anything at all. And so what we have right now is not about training, it's not about public safety, and it has everything to do with political aristocracy that refuses to acknowledge the pain and the reality of everyday life for everyday Georgians and everyday Americans. That is not democracy, that is not leadership, and that is so totally not public safety.
Reverend James Wheeler, thank you for being with us, Public Policy Associate at Southern Center for Human Rights, co-author of Wired for Racism, How Evolution and Faith Challenge Racial Idolatry. And Marlon Counts, thanks so much for joining us, of the Atlanta Solidarity Fund. One of 3 members of the bail fund arrested last week during an armed police SWAT team raid, spent 4 days in jail.
Wow. Okay, so once again, you know, as Brother Malcolm has said, is that it's a police state. Okay. Then Atlanta, you know, with this large black population, quite naturally, of course, you know, I don't have to tell you the undertones of it, is that you want, you know, high-powered police or pretty much military police policing, you know, cities as opposed to the military. So for all practical purposes, to quote a colleague of mine of many, many years ago, that stated is that the police is nothing more than a military against the people. Just as Brother Malcolm said in 1962 in Los Angeles. You know, they put up there a narrative about how much crime there is in the black community, but then they put up there more police in the black community. And why is it that they got such high crime in an area with more police? And it shows you that the cops must be in cahoots with the criminals. Now, 60 years later, what it is that all this shit is going Robocop. It's going high tech. Okay, they train in Cop City is because, in my opinion, the reason why they're doing this in Atlanta, and this bullshit will pick up in places like Oakland, Los Angeles, New York City, Denver, Chicago, Dallas, is because they know that they are crumbling within themselves. They know that they have no type of morals. I mean, police agencies are morally bankrupt. Okay, you have white supremacists, with badges, carrying out the agenda as the same way as they did the slave patrollers. Okay, so then they would have OTBs come up there and say, well, they doing this here the same way too to us. No, they're not. Okay, it's because they've been doing it to us since slavery. It's because, as we all know, the police evolved from slave patrollers going after runaway slaves, a human being, who is trying to be free and to get up out of bondage, but he was looked upon as property. Now, to countermand all those who's going to say, well, they doing this here to us all and all that. No. You have to understand that the police, policy enforcers, okay, were brought about off of the slave patrollers. This is because the slaves were capital, you see what I'm saying, to the white, raping, slave trading pedophiles. This is why you had Black Friday. You see, this is why you had guys like Malcolm and Huey. And this is why you had guys like the former heavyweight champ that sacrificed his prime years. You say, and in white America, this ain't some shit that you just gonna sweep up under the rug with us. You say, not after what I lived through, you damn right I'm gonna pass it on to the next generations after me, as I witnessed it. You see, and then what had happened, as we all know, with not Mike Brown, but what was the brother who was killed in Harlem, New York, with the cigarettes, selling the loose cigarettes? I'm sorry?
Eric Gardner.
Yeah, Eric Gardner. You see, that's where that trend started. And that's why somebody that you and I are both familiar with had made a video on YouTube from the California State Supreme Court. And he asked, where's the motherfucking justice at? You see, what happened with Mr. Gardner? What happened with Mr. Castillo? What happened to Alan Bluford, Sandra Bland, Corinne Gaines, Breonna Taylor?
Right.
See, they are systemically.
I got another video.
Yes, sir.
To this about him. So
okay,
they approved Cop City. The protesters and organizers in Atlanta have a plan to stop Cop City at the ballot box.
Oh, good. Yeah, it'll make them feel that much worse. And then they need to put it.
Thanks for joining us here at 5. I'm Savannah Lovitz in for Faith Jesse.
And I'm that power rests with the people. And despite a city council vote on Tuesday to further fund the project, protesters are now hoping to take the issue to the ballot box this fall.
11 Alive's Joe Ripley is live at City Hall. And Joe, it doesn't seem like protesters are giving up this fight anytime soon.
No, they're not. We've heard this time and time again, especially since City Council's vote on Tuesday approving funding for the Public Safety Training Center. Protesters are going to keep fighting the construction to try and block this construction of the Public Safety Training Center. That next step in their fight could include 500,000 Atlantans having their say on the issue. The chants ring out. The voice is clear from those opposed to Atlanta's Public Safety Training Center. Today we are here to let the people decide. After City Council passed a vote Tuesday approving millions in funding for the project, protesters now hope to take their voices to the ballot box to try and block construction of the new facility in southern DeKalb County. When we know that they're not representing the people, we know that we have to go over their heads and take it to the people themselves. So we've been preparing this. We're ready for this fight. Petition for? Arrivers filed a referendum petition with the city clerk's office. They expect approval in the next week. Then they say they will have 60 days to get around 70,000 signatures from Atlanta residents who voted in the last city election. City Council would then have 50 days to sign off on the petition and validate the signatures.
Even though there was intense and energetic protest here today, there are 500,000 opinions in Atlanta.
Atlanta City Councilman Michael Julian Bond voted for the funding, which has Atlanta paying at least $67 million for the project over the next 30 years. If the referendum process is successful, all registered Atlanta voters could vote on the measure in November.
Whatever scenario winds up in 4 months, 6 months, 2 years, if we don't build something now, we still have the obligation to do it.
Protesters plan on canvassing neighborhoods, passing out these petitions at music festivals and other events, all for an issue they call a battle for the city of Atlanta.
Atlantans don't want a cop city. They want policing alternatives and diversion. They want healthcare facilities in their community that are accessible, and they want mental health and addiction services.
And we know this vote on Tuesday approving funding for the Public Safety Training Center came with some concessions, a sign that city council members heard some of the concerns from protesters. Even still, though, for those opposed to this project altogether, do not want to see it built, well, they say they are considering filing for an injunction to try and block construction that was set to pick up this summer.
Wow.
How that goes as they start to collect signatures as early as next week.
All right, Joe, thanks for that new information tonight.
They need to recall all the ones that voted yes on the shit.
Oh, yes, sir. And while they circulating, getting signatures to stop Cop City, they could have the recall petitions in there as well, too.
Yep. So recalls on all the ones that voted yes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So what are your thoughts?
Okay, how many more time? Huh?
What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, what am I? Okay, well, yeah, what my thoughts is on that right there, sir. Okay, stop Cop City, because once again, is that they trying to sit up here and make a national police force. You see, and the Atlanta Police Department is known for its brutality in the past. Also, to the Atlanta police officer, when they hired their first black police officers, I believe it was about 10 of them, they could not carry no guns during the Jim Crow era.
They cannot carry guns.
Yeah,
they cannot arrest
yes,
white
people. Her children ran to my
yes.
They're asking for us to call the police that they're no longer.
Oh, yeah. The sister down there in Florida, AJ, as they used to call her.
Yep, but continue, Shabbat.
Yes, sir. Okay, in research that I've done, you even had a white woman who spoke on behalf of AJ and said that AJ did nothing wrong, and then that raggedy ass Beverly Hills granny looking Carolyn Bryant piece of shit is gonna sit up there and kill this woman, after harassing her child, talking about that she was standing her ground. Now, my question is this, okay, if AJ would have went over there and protecting her child and caught this raggedy ass female abusing her child, and if AJ went up there and would have beat the living dog shit out of her, not even shooting her, AJ would be probably sitting over there in Ocala jail in Florida on hate crime charges. And I do believe I've traveled through Ocala, Florida. Yeah, I believe I did when I was in Florida, because I knew I was through St. Petersburg and Tampa. I knew that, but I think traveling from Pensacola, Florida, I think I might have went to Ocala. I think. Yeah, as a matter of fact, I did go through Ocala.
Yeah, because Ocala is like near the Panhandle or in the Panhandle.
Yes, sir. Yeah, because I do recall that I do know that Pensacola is in the Panhandle, and I do recall traveling from there to St. Petersburg, and I think Ocala was on the way to St. Petersburg, and of course, you know, we communicated when I was down there in Florida, you know, going on a year and a half ago. Yeah, and yeah, and then I did see Daytona, Florida, although I did not get a chance to see the Atlantic Ocean, but I do recall seeing Mary McLeod Bethune highway there, because as you know, she was a great educator, and she was from what is that, Daytona Beach, Florida.
Yeah, Daytona. I've been to Daytona. It looks like there's a highway that goes from Ocala to Daytona Beach. A state highway.
If I'm a state highway or interstate, it should be Interstate 10, I believe.
No, it's State Highway 40.
Oh, okay.
No, 10 is up by.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so Ocala between Tampa and Gainesville.
Okay. All right, I do recall seeing the highway sign saying Gainesville. I don't know if I went through there or not.
Yeah.
But I was through Ocala, I know that.
You took 75 north to the 10, and then you took the 10 west.
Okay, that's what I took to get back to California. Okay, was the 10 west.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's because the 10 west would run you all the way from Santa Monica, California, all the way down there to Jacksonville, Florida, I believe.
Yeah, it starts and ends at Jacksonville, yep.
Okay. Just like Interstate 80 would take you all the way from San Francisco to Ocean City, Maryland, in the north.
Correct. Just like I-70 will take you from Denver to Washington, D.C.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. Okay, just learned something. I didn't know that. Okay. All righty. Okay, so therefore, what happened, you know, with AJ is definitely a tragedy. So, you know, the sack of shit that killed her bailed out of jail.
Yeah,
and she should have been. Yeah.
I got a whole videos to play in regards to this. They're short, but it's a lot of videos. They're like a minute or two each. Some are 10 minutes.
Okay.
So yeah, as Shabak already alluded to, was a black woman, black mother that was shot by her neighbor, and apparently there's been a pattern of ongoing feud had for a number of months and years, and now even the white-owned media is saying it was unjustified.
Yeah, and then and from what I saw in the media, there was a white woman saying that the Karen that shot AJ, hope she rots her stinking ass in jail.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so here we go. This is the breaking story right here when it first broke on the scene.
Yes, sir.
Just out of Fox 35.
Sorry, deputies say that this feud has been going on on for several months between the two sides. Welcome, Brown.
And I'm Lou Wetterell. The sheriff says both the mother and the shooter called 911 on each other at least half a dozen times in the past. Let's walk you through what we know so far. Deputies say before the shooting, the neighbor threw something at one of the children. That child then told their mother, and she went back to the neighbor's house. During the confrontation, the neighbor allegedly shot the mother through the front door. Investigators are now trying to figure out if the shooter will face any charges or if this is a case of self-defense. We have live team coverage for you tonight.
No, it ain't no damn self-defense. That ain't no self-defense.
The name of the victim's family wants the shooter charged in this case. John, they do, and many people here in the community were calling for justice. They just say that they are outraged over all this and believe the shooting was completely unnecessary. Her 3 children were here today as the echo of those calls.
She posed no imminent threat to anyone.
A.J. Owen's mother pleading for answers after a daughter was shot by her neighbor. Many in the Marion County community echoing those calls. Killed Friday when she went to confront a neighbor. Close friends say the 32-year-old wanted to know why her neighbor took her kid's iPad and threw something at her.
Her children ran to my house, banging on the door, asking for us to call the police that their mother was shot. Ran on literally they knocked on everyone's.
Owen's neighbor Ashley Remy says that she ran over to CPR.
Just hoping that I could revive her. Hoping that there was something I could do.
Others in the neighborhood, 58-year-old shooter has a history of yelling at kids in the neighborhood. They claim she has called the police on kids many times. Marion County deputies have not arrested the 58-year-old as they try to determine if this was a standard ground case.
It's a bull. Straight bull. Because like I just said, if it was me or an African-American shooting, we would be in jail right now.
Owen's children are between the ages of 13 and 4 years old. Her oldest son did speak briefly, thanking everybody for coming. There'll be a vigil held for her on Thursday. In Ocala, Dave from ABC 5.
So that was like 2 weeks ago.
Her children to my house, banging on the door.
So that's when.
Okay, fading in and out.
Still there, Shabaka?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
For us to call the police that their mother was shot.
It was 9 in the evening Friday. Kids playing across from their home on 107th Lane in Marion County, and a neighbor reportedly had an issue with where they were.
She's called the cops just for the name.
On Friday, whatever happened between the neighbor and the children, it led the children's mother, A.J. Owens, to the woman's door, whether it was banging on the doors, banging on the walls, and threats being made. And then at that moment was when Ms. Owens was shot through the door. The sheriff stressing his agency has more facts to gather, also elevating the stress of the murder. Items reportedly thrown at the kids, skates according to the sheriff. There was a pair of skates that was thrown at the child. Only friend says Owens was going to retrieve an iPad left behind by one of the kids.
The mother went to get the iPad. Did you her? Who was that?
She wants investigators to add.
Charge her. You know who did it. Charge her.
I wish our shooter would have called us instead of taking actions into her own hands. The sheriff adding.
You already knew about that bitch. She had a whole pattern of this shit.
Yeah, exactly. And they had been having, and they've been having this problem, going on for a long time, because this wasn't the first incident. And then keep in mind is that with her shooting through the door goes to show her intent. And like I said, the panties, the homosexual, transsexual governor of that state, perpetuates more and more of this bullshit with that George Zimmerman state. So therefore, the panties, needs to intervene, which we know he won't. You know, he probably endorses this white woman killing this young mother of, I believe, 4 children, and the sister had went over there, you know, protecting the interest of her child. Okay, so once again, we don't understand why you Rambo Negroes cannot see the fucking light of what here. Don't you see that they are killing us, and they're using any and every marginal excuse to do it? The same thing with the police. So what you have right here, black family, is that we are marked. They are culling us. Okay, it's like to the point where they're killing us for recreation. But you got ass scratches and yassa bosses like Herschel Walker, Warlock, you know what I'm saying, Uncle Tim Scott, who sat up there and told a blatant faced lie with his stymied looking ass. America is not a racist country. And the sad part about it is, if that idiot, you know, really feels that way, I feel extremely sorry for him. But I know one thing's for sure, he's not going to get me to believe that bullshit.
He don't, well, anybody in their right mind don't feel that way. He just towing a line for the Republicans. They told him to say that.
Exactly. Exactly.
Like Democrat told stupid ass Kamala Harris to say that dumb shit.
Exactly. And then they even told old Cop Mala when she went over there to Ghana, she should have gotten an Academy Award for that. She didn't even know what the hell that she was talking about. And the way that you could tell that she did not know what the hell that she was talking about was that prepackaged bullshit. It's because if somebody was Afrocentric that went there over there to Goree Island, I believe what it is called, or the point of no return, if you're conscious, brother, you cannot help but tell that story with some type of emotion. And then Kamala, like I said, she wasn't shit as the Attorney General of California. She wasn't shit as a U.S. Senator from California. You know what I mean? And most of the people that she put in prison were black. And then when they decriminalized MJ in California, she didn't even go up there to start the process to get those who were convicted of it released. Also, too, she was supposed to expunge the records of those who were arrested for it. She didn't. You see what I'm saying? It's because if you look at a dude who was arrested for it, say in the year 1974, it was a felony. And if he was convicted of it, he was still under California law be considered a convicted felon. But those who who had an ounce or less, okay, after 1976, would just get a ticket for it, and it'd be $100 fine. And then what they did when they did total decriminalization of it, of cannabis in California, then when they started setting up the cannabis stores, now they taxing the shit out of you with it. You see, so, you know, Cop Mala, very bad for California. And this stinking asshole who murdered this woman, only thing I'm just asking is that she does get convicted. And if she does get convicted, throw it in there with the mainstream population.
Yep.
And let some of the sisters deal with her. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but you know that's not gonna happen.
I know. And I'm just being sarcastic there, Brother Che. You know what I'm saying? And sarcastic is saying one thing but meaning the obvious, you see.
Yeah.
Let's say, and then I appreciate the white woman, you know, who stood up there and said, hope that her ass rots in jail. So I appreciate. Say that again.
I said she needs to, but I gotta finish this video because I got more videos to play.
Okay. Yes.
Creative work to do. What we have to rule out is whether the deadly force was justified or not before we can even make the arrest. Also at the briefing, local police asking for patience. We'd like to get to the matter as to what happened. All emotions that are running through the community. We'll let law enforcement.
Okay, so I see they got a house nigga up there. All right.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.
So now we're gonna get into her getting arrested, and then
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Susan Lawrence. Look, I got a problem, and I'm going to myself about this. They got this woman's last name spelled 2 different ways out here in these articles. Ladies, they did the same thing when it came down to that city bike incident. They had that woman's name spelled 2 ways out in the media. And I really believe they're doing this to cause confusion. And it's funny, I don't see y'all getting names confused when it's a black suspect. But when, recently we've seen this with the white women, y'all can't think of it normally. Now, I'll just note here. Oh, y'all, let's get into this latest update. This woman was finally arrested for killing A.J. Owens, and she should have been arrested immediately. This is from public pressure, right? The public was upset that the police took this woman in, they questioned her, and then let her go. So a white woman who fatally shot black neighbor through front door, arrested on manslaughter and other charges. So a white woman who fired through her front door, killed a black neighbor, was arrested Tuesday. This is according to authorities in the case. So, I guess when she went in for questioning, she tried to use stand your ground. And this definitely was not stand your ground. So the shooting sparked widespread anger and protest. So this was Marion County Sheriff's Office said Susan Lawrence, 58, was arrested with manslaughter, with a firearm and other offenses. A.J. Owens, a 35-year-old mother of 4, was killed Friday night in a shooting. Sheriff Billy Woods said it was the accumulation of a 2.5-year feud between the neighbors. Now, ladies and gentlemen, other people have come forward and saw Susan. They said she was excessively nasty to those children. And that tells me the sheriff department didn't do their job. Because if she was doing that to children and they did not arrest her before, they didn't do their job, because they said they were called dozens of times over, the incident that she was having with the children. And I don't like how I was looking at articles. This woman approached those children aggressively on multiple occasions. And the sheriff's office, whenever they called, they handled it as a dispute between 2 neighbors instead of apprehending her for all of her aggressions that she was making towards those children. That's very inappropriate, and she should have been arrested. So anyway, they lived in Rolling Hills, south of Ocala, North Florida City. That's the heart of the state's horse country. So according to the sheriff's office, Evidence showed that over time, Lawrence became upset over Owen's children playing in a field close to the apartment. Now, she only was a tenant in an apartment. That was all this woman was. Okay, so when she was out there screaming, she owns the field, that's just some white supremacist colonizer mess. That's all that is. So anyway, on Friday night, the office said Lawrence got into an argument with the children again, inappropriate. She's fighting, this 58-year-old woman is fighting children that range between 3 and 12 years old. Totally.
Wow.
And
Boy, that raggedy ass heifer look like she going on 70. They say she 58.
So during the argument, the office continued that Lawrence threw a roller skate at Owen's 10-year-old son, hitting him in the toe. The boy and his 12-year-old brother went to speak to Lawrence, and she opened her door and swung an umbrella at them. They told their mother what happened, and Owens approached Lawrence's house, knocked on the door multiple times, and demanded Lawrence come outside. And she fired one shot through the door, striking Owens in her upper chest. At the same time, Owen's 10-year-old son was standing beside her. This is according to the sheriff's office. Deputies responded to a trespassing call at the apartment Friday night and found Owen suffering from gunshot wounds. She later died at the hospital. First of all, if she swung on these children with an umbrella, that's not stand your ground. That's not stand your ground. And as you see, when I get later into the article, neighbors witnessed how vicious this woman was towards those Black children. And my question for her neighbors is, why didn't anybody confront her or report that? Who witnessed it? So anyway, by the sheriff's office, Lawrence claims she acted in self-defense. No, if you opened your door and swung on those kids with an umbrella, no, that was not self-defense. And that Owens was trying to break down her door. I don't believe that woman was doing that.
I don't believe it either.
I think she was just making up an excuse to get away with murder. She claimed Owens was breaking down her door. I don't believe that. So Lawrence also claimed that Owens had come after her in the past and had previously attacked her. The office continued, well, it seems like you've been attacking her children the entire time. Most mothers are not going to take that off of a neighbor. So, but detectives were able to establish that Lawrence's actions were not justifiable under Florida's law, and she was arrested, the office said. The manslaughter charge she is facing is punishable for up to 30 years in prison. And the office noted that also she was charged with culpable negligence, batteries, and 2 counts of assault. She should be charged for how she treated these kids. So anyway, Billy Woods said in a statement that he wants to thank Mrs. Owens' family for their patience as we conducted a diligent investigation that we were bound by law to conduct. Ms. Lawrence's fate is now in the hands of the judicial system, which I must and will deliver justice in due course. As I go to bed tonight, I will be saying a prayer for Mrs. Owens' children and the rest of her family. I'd like to ask all of you to do the same. So this is what the sheriff said, Billy Woods. So Owen's family called for the arrest. Yes, they did. And I watched that news conference, and that was just heartbreaking, seeing her children standing there, and they're not going to see their mother again. You know, this is horrible, horrible the way this thing unfolded. And in my opinion, the sheriff's office did not do their job. You know, and the way she was out there treating those children and they did not act, the sheriff's office is at fault for that. Yep. So they had a vigil Monday night for A.J. Owens. Her mother, Pamela Diaz, said she was seeking justice for her daughter and grandchildren. My daughter, my grandchildren was shot and killed. And she said her son was standing by her. She had no weapon. She posed no imminent threat to anyone. Civil rights attorney Ben Crump, who's representing Owen's family, said in a statement that the shooter had been yelling racial slurs at the children before the confrontation. And I believe that. But the one thing I don't like in the story were her children were trying to deal with Susan here when they should not even attempt to do that. They should have went straight to their mother. But, you know, things probably happened so fast and people just wasn't thinking. But he also represented, Ben Trump represented Trayvon Martin, and we know what happened to him. And, you know, what George Zimmerman did was not stand your ground, but the state of Florida accepted what he did. He approached Trayvon. Okay, if you approach somebody, that's not stand your ground, but the state of Florida accepted that as stand your ground. So anyway, the sheriff's office hasn't confirmed whether the slurs were uttered. Well, we know Susan here is never going to tell the truth about that. And quite frankly, I believe those children. I don't believe they're making that up. Because when you look at all the aggressive behavior she had towards those black children, I wouldn't doubt for 1 second that she used racial slurs. I believe them. So anyway, about 36 mostly black protesters gathered outside the Marion County Judicial Center Tuesday to demand the shooter be arrested. And in the country's latest flashpoint over race and gun violence. So the chief prosecutor, state attorney William Gladson, met with the protesters and urged patience in the investigation. So Wood said Monday detectives were working with the state attorney's office and had to investigate possible self-defense claims, because this is what Susan Lorix was claiming, that it was self-defense, before they could move forward with any possible criminal charges. The sheriff pointed out that because of the stand your ground law, he couldn't make an arrest unless he could prove the shooter didn't act in self-defense. On Tuesday, a stuffed teddy bear and bouquet marked the area where Owens was shot. Nearby children were riding bikes and scooters and playing basketball. So it wasn't just her children over there. There was a lot of children that went in that area to play. Protesters chanted, you know, the usual. They did the say her name and no justice, no peace. Y'all know what they say when they're out there protesting. So there is a woman that lived directly across the street from them. And she said, her name was Lauren Smith, 40 years old. She lived across the street from where the shooting happened. She said she was on her porch that day and saw one of Owen's sons pacing and yelling, "You shot my mother, you shot my mother." Wow. She ran towards the house and started chest compressions until the rescue crew arrived. She said when, she was sitting on the porch, she didn't see an altercation. But, Owens was over there. She did not have any weapon or anything. Wow. So she was angry all the time that the children were playing out there. So she's talking about Susan that you're looking at in this picture. This neighbor that lived across the street said she saw her angry all the time at the children that were playing. She would say nasty things to them, just nasty. Smith, who is white, described the neighborhood as family friendly. So this white neighbor would sit on her porch and watch Susan go over to those children and just be straight up nasty to them. But it's supposed to be hard to believe that she used racial slurs, huh? Yeah, right. I believe those children. And like I said, if people around there witnessed this happening, then the sheriff should have arrested Susan a long time ago. She shouldn't have been doing that to children and getting away with it. So the sheriff said since January 2021, the deputies have responded to a half dozen calls in connection with the police describing feuds. Now, this went beyond feuds. If she was threatening children and being aggressive with them, no, Susan should have been arrested. They're trying to make it look like it was just some bickering between two women when it went a lot further than that. There was a lot of aggressiveness. The sheriff said the shooter told investigators, whether it be banging on doors, banging on walls, threats being made, then at the moment when Miss Owens was shot through the door. In my opinion, the sheriff's office failed to do their job when this woman was acting out, being violent and aggressive towards these Black children. And the sheriff's office kept handling it like, oh, this is just some bickering between these two women. And I think they are at fault for not dealing with Susan appropriately. She has no business going up to nobody in this country have any business going up to somebody else's child and being aggressive. If you got problems with the children, you go to the parents. You don't get up in children's faces on roller skates, swinging on them with umbrellas and all that. Nah, you don't do no mess like that. And when things were reported about her aggressive behavior and the sheriff's department failed to do their job, they are just as responsible for what this woman did. Their lack of action towards her over the last 2.5 years led to the death of this mother, A.J. Owens. That's how I see the entire thing. You know, this is just another case of a sheriff's department, a police department failing to do the job because of the face of the aggressor. Y'all, please tell me what you think about this video. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace, family.
Yeah, she pretty much said it on that right there, and it's pretty much is saying the same thing. But this is gonna be it for me. We got any more topics?
So after this is just the Unhoused Neighbor News and Unhoused Neighbor Suites.
Okay, let's get through that. And then, yeah, because I'm heading out. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, Susan Lawrence. She made her court appearance down in Ocala, Florida, at the courthouse. She did have to appear in person, and it looks like she got a bulletproof vest on there. So she has not been given any kind of bond, so she will remain behind bars, but it does not mean that she won't get it. She is brought up on manslaughter. I know Ben Crump is working to get it raised to second-degree murder. And there should be hate crime charges. And I don't know why she has not been.
I don't know how the hell second degree or manslaughter should be.
Well,
should be murder in the first. There's intent.
oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And then with her intent, and then not to mention the fact that I think that this woman, I'm talking about the Karen, was waiting for an opportunity, to do this here, to these children's mother. You see, and then she's gonna steal something or take something from one of the children. So therefore, that's robbery. Now I don't know about the state of the panties. You know what I'm saying? And fuck Ron DeSantis. But I do know under California, when you take somebody's property, that there's strong arm robbery. Okay, so I don't know what they got going on down there in Florida, but it's basically that stand your ground, meaning white people can arm themselves and kill us indiscriminately, but we're supposed to be up there, yassa bossing, ass scratching. Yeah, Miss Charlotte, you know what I'm saying? Because the white American ethos is still trying to push that agenda, particularly on our children. And this is why that state that also has a Hollywood in it too, called California City of Los Angeles. You know what I'm saying? Their police agency is known for their racism as well too. So the imagery that Hollywood, California produces puts all this crap up here, to make it pretty much to reinforce, well, it's okay to go out here and murder unarmed black people. Just like what Malcolm said in 1962. You see?
Yeah. All right.
Is that
before you go, let me get to this video.
Okay.
I think there's one more after this. Let me see.
Mm-hmm.
With a hate crime being that she was so abusive towards AJ's Owen's children and using racial slurs, she definitely should be hit with hate crime charges. But I'm going to go ahead and let you hear what happened in court.
First at 5, a Marion County woman facing a manslaughter charge when the death of her neighbor makes her first appearance in court. It's a case that we've been following for the past several days now. The sheriff says the deadly shooting happened during a long-time dispute between the victim and the suspect.
And tonight, authorities have released some of the 911 calls made after the shooting. Watch 2's Anika Hope joins us live in Ocala with those calls. Anika. Yeah, we're still going through those calls, but here are some of those, starting with one from the suspect, Susan Lawrence, and from neighbors who called 911 moments after the shooting.
The woman was screaming and yelling and she was trying to break down my door. She didn't know what to do. I grabbed my gun and I shot at the door. We just heard a gunshot and we think his mom's laying in the grass, but nobody wants to go over there and he's trying to get shot. She's in front of the lady's house. She was knocking on her door. And it's the old lady that always calls the cops over here.
Today in court, prosecutors asked that Susan Lawrence be held on no bond, or if she does get one, that it be significant.
He's been charged with manslaughter with a firearm, culpable negligence, 2 counts of assault, and battery.
Thursday, the woman accused of shooting and killing a mother of 4 children through a closed door stood before a judge. Investigators say Susan Lawrence shot at AJ Owens when Owens was knocking on her door, her 9 and 12-year-old children at her side.
The fact that she has no job, no property, kind of limits her house in this community. So we're asking that, at least for the time being, she remain on the new homestead.
Okay, but again, she's entitled to a bond, right?
Dr. David Thomas, a professor of forensic studies and former police officer, told us Lawrence is entitled to a bond because she's not facing a murder charge.
Because it's not a life felony, because it's manslaughter. Had it been first degree murder or sexual battery or one of those that rise to that level.
How long have you lived in Marion County? About 15 years.
The Marion County Sheriff said that as of late, Lawrence had been calling law enforcement about disagreements between her and Owens.
The truth is, our shooter harassed the children. That's what everything we have indicates.
Thomas said those reports and interviews with the children who were there at the time will help investigators better understand the circumstances.
And oftentimes, how you classify a hate crime or how it just moves from like a simple assault or simple battery is what the person says at the time that they are engaged in the incident.
Right now, no hate crime charges have been filed, but Owens' mother and attorney Ben Crump are pushing for second-degree murder.
Her kids were everything to her, and it's all been ripped away from her.
I know from the family's standpoint, they want to make sure that she is charged to the fullest extent of the law for what she took from them.
We should learn more about what's next for Lawrence tomorrow morning. We're told that she has a court date tomorrow at 9 a.m. The family of A.J. Owens says that her funeral is scheduled for Monday. Live in Marion County, Anika Hope, Question News.
Wow.
Court appearance, she had to appear in person, and there was no bail set for her. And you heard some of the 911 calls, and what was interesting was the last guy that called, and he said it's the woman that always calling the police. So that's what Susan spent her time doing, calling the police on everybody. Usually that's what these Karens do, and you can see she's no different. So no, I'm not in agreement that hate crime charges are left off. I don't care. For what she did and just any type of child endangerment charges should be on her because she was so nasty and abrasive towards these Black children. She shouldn't get away with that. But like I said to y'all before, if the sheriff's department would have just did their job, maybe this woman would have lived. They just didn't do their job at all. So Ocala woman accused of killing A.J. Owens appears in court. And, she just looks like your typical Karen that we see running around here. So we know the dispute went on for 2.5 years. Susan Lawrence is 58 years old, charged with manslaughter for the death of A.J. Owens. And the judge, her name is Lori Cotton. She was prepared to set a bond, but decided to give the state more time to file a motion for a pretrial detention, which wasn't prepared by Thursday's hearing. So at that particular hearing, bond was not on the table. But y'all, it does not mean the next time she appears in court, she'll be granted some kind of bond. Which I absolutely don't like. So there is a reschedule of her next court appearance. And they're saying, it could be a motion for her to get bail by this coming Friday, which is June 9th. So she didn't have an attorney that she's paying for. The woman that was standing next to her is actually a public defender. So they said she didn't have any property, but she was telling those kids they were playing on her property. But according to what they said in court, she did not have any property. She has no savings, no money in the bank, and she was working up until just 2 weeks ago. So this woman is broke. She don't have nothing. But she was always outside, y'all, screaming at these kids that were playing in this grassy area, talking about she owns that. That's hers. And she didn't want them over there playing. And kept going over to an area claiming she owned it. But come to find out, they said she don't even own any property. Boy, the things that a Karen can get away with in this society. So, there were people telling me that she worked in real estate. She didn't work in real estate at all. They said she worked at United Healthcare. That's who she was employed with, not in real estate, because that's what I heard, not only online, I seen it in the comment section. Somebody emailed me talking about she worked in real estate. She never worked in real estate. She worked for United Healthcare. Okay? And she claimed that she also helped support her 55-year-old sister. But this woman is virtually broke. She don't even have savings, y'all. So Owen's family, they're saying they are grateful that she was finally arrested and being held in the county jail. And, you know, they want, and Ben Crump said he is working towards getting it upgraded to second-degree murder and hate crime charges. So I sure hope he can accomplish that. It would be nice, because I just think manslaughter is just not strong enough for what this woman did. Y'all, please tell me what you think about this latest development in the case, and I will definitely stay on top of this story. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace, family.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that just goes to show you is that nothing has changed. You know what I'm saying?
Ladies and gentlemen, here's another update. So a bail was set for Susan Lawrence, and the bond is $154,000 for Florida woman arrested in the shooting death of a Black mother who knocked on her door. So that bail was set today, okay, Friday, June 9th. So bond for a Florida woman charged with manslaughter in the shooting death of her neighbor, a Black mother who confronted her during a dispute over children playing outside, was set at $154,000 on Friday. So a judge Friday set the bond, and it's $150,000 for a felony charge and another $4,000 for misdemeanor counts, which were 4. And she also said she's unemployed and owns about $3,000 worth of furniture. Well, the state requested a $200,000 bond. So the owner of the apartment where Lawrence lived told detectives that she was being evicted. According to a prosecutor, and the judge recommend that Lawrence not return there. Lawrence was arrested Tuesday, 4 days after investigators said she fatally shot A.J. Owens through a front door of Lawrence's home near Ocala, Florida. So she's being evicted, and she should. She should have been evicted 2 years ago when she started harassing those children. They should have worked towards getting her out of there at that point, because, you know, when you listen to what those children are saying and what the neighbors all around her say, now I haven't heard one neighbor say one good thing about this woman. They said she was just nothing but a troublemaker. So, you know, it's good. Maybe the people that still live there will have some peace of mind finally. So she can't go back there to live. You know, she is, to me, the female version of Edward Cagney Matthews in Mount Laurel, New Jersey. Y'all remember him? He was going around his complex harassing everybody. You know, she kind of, her story reminds me of him, just the harassing part, not the shooting part. So Owens was demanding that Lawrence come out of her apartment after the 58-year-old white woman yelled at her children and threw a roller skate at her 10-year-old, hitting him, the sheriff's office said. In addition to manslaughter with a firearm, Lawrence is facing charges of culpable negligence, battery, 2 counts of assault, and she needs to be charged for what she did to these children. And I still say there should be hate crime charges. So if Lawrence holds bond, she will not be allowed to possess a firearm or any other weapon, nor is she allowed to have any contact with the victim's family. If she returns to her apartment to gather belongings, she will have to have someone accompany her. She is allowed to live in her apartment as long as she isn't evicted. Lawrence will also have to wear an anchor monitor. Lawrence made the initial court appearance via video call on Thursday. She told the court that she has no savings and is making payments on a car and had filed for disability after working at United Healthcare. She said she worked, last time she worked was 2 weeks ago, and that she supports her 55-year-old sister. She was represented by Marion County Public Defender's Office. Yeah, you're broke. That's all you can be as a public defender. Judge Lori Cotton appointed the Public Defender's Office to represent Lawrence going forward. So she claimed to detectives that she was acting in self-defense, saying that Owens was trying to break down her door and that she heard the victim threatening to kill her. Now, see, she can say anything. This woman is dead. A.J. Owens is dead. She can sit there and claim anything. According to the arrest affidavit, Lawrence said that she discharged her firearm because she felt she was in mortal danger, the document said. Detectives, however, determined Lawrence's actions were not justifiable under Florida's law. Yeah, because she was trying to use stand your ground. The sheriff's office said in the days since the killing, Owens' family had repeatedly called for the arrest and charging of the shooter, insisting the incident was unprovoked and unjustified. They also accused Lawrence of harassing the children and calling them racial slurs. When the investigators were asking Susan about the allegations of her calling children in the neighborhood racial slurs, she admitted to having used the N-word towards children out of anger in the past and also calling children other derogatory terms, the affidavit says. So she didn't deny it. Okay, y'all. So they also interviewed neighbors of the shooter. And you know what? There's not one neighbor that had anything good to say about this woman. You know, every now and then you got that one person that will tell you, oh, no, they're not nasty or whatever. Not one neighbor had a decent thing to say about this woman. Neighbors said the shooter often harassed kids. The investigators interviewed witnesses and neighbors. Some explained that Lawrence often yelled at children, including Owens, and became angry at them when they played outside near her residence, according to the affidavit. One neighbor said Lawrence is known to harass children by video recording them with her phone as they play in an open field between the apartment buildings, the document states. The neighbor said Lawrence believes the field where the children played belonged to her and that she allegedly called 911 to make false reports against kids, the affidavit said. And they said she owns no property, so that grassy area where those kids were playing did not belong to her. So she lied about that. And she would have had to falsify reports if she called that in and claimed that was her property. Then that means she lied on those children. So when investigators examined the past 911 calls made by Lawrence, they found that she had been calling for more than a year to report children of trespassing on her property. That was not her property. So she falsified police reports. But responding deputies always determined the children had been playing in a common area, the affidavit said. Lawrence told investigators in an interview after the shooting that she had a problem with the neighborhood children for about 2 years due to the lack of respect for her peace and privacy. According to the arrest affidavit, you know what? I bet you she started that whole thing. I don't believe these kids started nothing with this woman. I think it's the other way around. She started with them. So one of the children sent his sibling to get his mother. This is when Lawrence had yelled at this 10-year-old, striking him with a roller skate. And shortly after that, that's when she banged on the front door. Now, she's talking about she tried to break down the front door. There was a neighbor that was directly across the street sitting on her porch, and this was a white woman sitting on her porch, and she said she did not see her do anything other than knock on that door. A.J. Owens. She said she didn't see anybody trying to break down a door. She just saw her standing there knocking on the door. So, I mean, come on. I don't expect Susan Lawrence to be truthful about too many things in this situation. I mean, look, she done lied from start to finish now. You can expect nothing but that. But I'm glad they're throwing her out of that neighborhood. Maybe the neighborhood can finally be peaceful without her. But it does not say, by the way, that she made bail. They just said they set the bail at $154,000. It does not say anywhere in the article that she was ever released. Now, if she's broke, then chances are she's not going to be able to raise the money to get out of there, not unless relatives or somebody steps up to the plate. She may be stuck in there. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace, family.
Brother Jay, you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Pretty clearly, America is not a racist country.
Ladies and gentlemen, there's more information that has come out about Susan.
Okay.
And it's not good. You know, I have said this before in the past. If you are an adult and you do something to children, or you are out here messing with children and that stuff goes public, it is never going to go down right for you when you mess with a child.
Right.
I don't care if you are a white person and the children are black. It doesn't matter. When you do things to children and it's public knowledge, it ain't going to end well for you. Ask any inmate or anybody you know that's been in jail, what happens to people that come in there that do things to children? They're going to be safe. That's the one thing you don't want to go to jail for, doing something to a child. Those inmates that be trying to get at her now. I promise you, she would be in jail with all this I own everything and all the bigotry stuff she was running around doing. within her neighborhood. Those people are now coming forward and said that all she did was stay on the phone calling the cops on everybody. And just the hideous things that she did to these children.
Yeah.
And things are never going to be right for her.
Never.
The worst decision you can make, see, you may have in your mind a black child as an easy target. It's never going to go down that way that you think. It's going to be the complete opposite. She's not going to be safe. And it's her own fault. You don't go out here messing with no kids like that. But I guess she will now learn that hard lesson behind bars. That's a very frowned upon thing. So let's get to this latest update, y'all. It just gets worse. Into this woman, male. Accused Florida shooter Susan Lawrence called child black slave before shooting mom. I mean, those kids already said she was using the N-word on them all the time. And a couple of the neighbors said she was horrible to their kids. And then you're out there harassing them about playing in a grassy area and claiming you owned it, it was yours, and come to find out this woman was a tenant. She didn't own any property. They said she's not the owner of any property, just a renter. But look at what she was on the streets doing. She was like a damn wild animal out there. And that's exactly how I see her. She's like a wild animal on the loose. But see, society has taught her, no matter how bad she treats children or adults that are melanated, she's safe. No, you're not safe. Susan should have been dealt with a long, long time ago. She would never have made it this long unless there's a society that backs her up. So I'm going to go ahead and show you this video, and I'll be right back with the rest of my commentary.
The story. And that night, all we had was one person's story, and that was the shooter's story. But Miss Owens' story had to be told through evidence, the eyes of witnesses who were there. I told you that we want nothing more than justice, and this can only be accomplished by maintaining the integrity of the case and leaving no stone unturned. Throughout this tragic event, we have been working very closely with Mrs. Owens' family. And right now, that family needs your prayers and support. The justice we have all been seeking has been served. But peace for them is still a ways down the road. Now, some of you have asked me about the stand your ground law. Personally, I think it's a great law, designed to help Floridians to defend themselves and keep themselves safe. However, it does not apply in all situations, and this situation is a prime example of when it was not justified. It was simply a killing.
All right, y'all. So Susan here is making the claim that she called these black children slaves, but she's trying to make herself the victim. And I don't believe nothing Susan says. Usually these Karen types, they rarely tell the truth about anything. So anyway, that's what she called this child before Adjika Owens went over to her house and knocked on her door. She called this child a black slave. So anyway, she appeared in court in Marion County Thursday, and I showed y'all that video, and they said she had on a suicide vest. And the investigators revealed that Lawrence allegedly had given the young children the middle finger. I'll tell you what, it just wasn't the right adults around to deal with this woman. It just wasn't. You know, I think a lot of people witnessed it, but nobody really, other than the mother. I think the mother did try to shut the stuff down that she was doing to these children out there, but it just wasn't enough. And see, when the authorities were coming over there and they didn't do nothing about it, they are at fault. I don't think the sheriff's department should get off for their lack of action over the last 2.5 years. So she called, wow, and she gave the children the middle finger. This is a grown 58-year-old woman out in the middle of the streets fighting with children. Like I said, let her do all this stuff behind bars. I promise you, she won't last. She ain't gonna make it. She wouldn't dare do it. So, ladies and gentlemen, they said, you know, they go over the fact that she was charged with manslaughter, with a firearm, battery, culpable, negligence, and 2 counts of assault. And she needs to be charged with child endangerment because she was completely abusive with children. And it just goes over A.J. Owens' children ranging between 3 and 12. And this is what she was doing to these little kids. So the accused shooter did not enter a plea during the hearing, but told the court that she had not worked in 2 weeks because she was placed on disability. She also owns no property, no savings, and she owes $22,000 stemming from an unpaid vehicle, according to footage in court. So this woman don't have nothing. She's literally penniless, and this is what she's doing with her time out in the streets, harassing everybody. They said all she did was call the cops on everybody all around there. And to me, if you don't like being around, there are so many areas you could live in around people that are seniors and look just like her. And she chose not to do that. But being that we all know she's penniless now, she probably couldn't do it. Where she was living was probably the only place she could afford. So they just go over, you know, the times where she reported to the police trucks passing, but she didn't own any property. Those kids were not trespassing in the area they were playing in because it never belonged to her. Obviously, the person it did belong to, they weren't bothered by the children being there. She was. So, you know, when they interviewed her, you know, they took her in, and then she tried to claim to stand your ground. I don't even know why laws like stand your ground even have to exist. You already had murder, homicide, manslaughter. You had all of those laws already on the book. So why would you need stand your ground?
Right.
You know, come on, man. You didn't need that in the first place. And see, people like some think they can just get away with killing just by screaming stand your ground. In fact, you know, they'll label something stand your ground that's not stand your ground at all, as you can see in the case. But she sure enough tried to do it, and it just did not work. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's the latest update. I'm sure these children got a lot of stories to tell about this woman. And when she goes on trial, you know, they're going to get those neighbors that she also fought with, because apparently this woman fought with all of her neighbors. They said she literally did not like anybody around her. She hated everybody, but she was exceptionally bad to the children. Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the door that Susan Lawrence shot out of. And you can see exactly where the bullet went through the door right here. So, y'all, this is truly sad no matter how you look at it. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell. And I'll see you in the next video. Peace. Family.
All right, Shabaka, this is it. So what are your thoughts on what you just watched? And then give us a call. And then, all right, well, we're gonna bid Shabaka a good night. So yeah, man, this lady, apparently the latest update is she done bonded out. I don't have time to play that video, so I'm gonna move to the last two topics of the evening, and that's the Unhoused Neighbor News and the Unhoused Neighbor Sweets. So, this past Tuesday, we elected a new mayor, the 46th mayor of Denver, Mike Johnston, and he supposedly has a plan to end homelessness. We'll see how that pans out. It looks like he's trying to pull another Hickenlooper. This is from the Denver Gazette, and it says Mike Johnston's big promises solve homelessness at first responders. Political experts say that the voters who picked him to succeed outgoing Mayor Michael Hancock will be watching his moves closely, but with a tinge of impatience and great expectations he would deliver quickly. So there's Mike Johnston right there on his day that he got elected, the 46th mayor. Apparently I can't read the content. I'll go to another topic then. So for those that don't know, when you're unhoused and you're a couple, it's very hard for you to stay together because they separate you. They have men's shelters and they have women's shelters. And with the exception of Samaritan House, couples are not allowed to stay in a shelter together. So this article is about unhoused couples in Denver face barriers when it comes to shelter resources. I'm just gonna play the video. I can't play the video.
It's the epic summer sale at Furniture Row, and that means everything is on sale. Find huge savings store-wide, plus no interest until 2027. Shop the largest selection at the lowest prices guaranteed. The epic summer sale on now at Furniture Row.
It's something the Denver Rescue Mission says it's never seen before in the 131 years it's been operating. The number of people who need help, whether it's a meal, shelter, financial assistance, you name it. And people from all backgrounds are in need of help, including couples, which can often be a barrier to finding a place to stay. I talked to one man who says that's exactly what he and his wife are going through.
I had a good night's sleeping for months.
It's been a tough go-around for this 44-year-old Denver man and his wife. He doesn't want them to be identified. They've been homeless since March after struggling to make rent. Now he's in a local rehab facility due to some health issues, and his wife is staying with her parents in a senior community, but will have to leave soon.
I've had problems with my weight has always been an issue, but my body is just kind of giving way. I can't walk more than like 200 feet.
Once he's released from rehab, he says they have nowhere to go. He says he's been calling as many organizations as he can for help, but is finding that being a couple actually makes it harder.
They would be like, hey, I need some help with this, and he'd be like, okay. And so, how many children in your household? None. sorry, we can't help you. They only help couples with children. Or they would say, you know, you have to be a rape survivor, or you have to be a domestic violence survivor, or you have to be a single woman with children.
One of the organizations he tried, the Denver Rescue Mission.
We don't currently have shelter, like a residential shelter for just couples.
In addition to that,
Our residential program where we have some transitional housing opportunities for singles or families who are looking to get out of homelessness. We're currently at an 8 to 10 week wait to get into our programs.
Jonathan Saluti with the Denver Rescue Mission says they've seen a huge uptick in couples and families needing help. Why do you think that is?
There's just not enough affordable housing right now in Denver. And so I think traditionally where, you know, two people could make it, you know, paying for an apartment, it's not really working that well as it used to be.
Denver's Department of Housing Stability, known as Host, says several programs are in the works to help homeless couples out.
Just yesterday, actually, City Council's Safety Committee approved a safe parking contract expansion. It's going to add 2 additional safe parking sites in Denver.
The city and county says it's also working on several non-congregate shelter options. One of them will be called Renewal Village at the former Clarion Hotel on West 48th Avenue. The 2023 budget also includes funds for 2 other properties that will be used for bridge housing.
If you want to stay together as a couple, that has been a challenge. And so that was one of the reasons we've really worked to expand these shelter alternatives.
For this man, he hopes he and his wife can find a place to live soon.
The squeakiest wheel always gets the oil. So eventually something's going to happen.
The Department of Housing Stability says it's in year 2 of its 5-year strategic plan. The goal is to reduce by 50% within 5 years.
Yeah. So yeah, it's real hard when you're unhoused and you're a couple to stay together. The next article is about Denver considering renting for homeless youth. It's from my neighbor David Heights. Shout out to him. It says Denver considers renting apartments for homeless youth. The Denver City Council will vote Monday on whether to spend $417,248 on creating up to 8 apartments for homeless youth aging out of foster care. The city already awarded a contract to Urban Peak to provide the services through December 31st, 2024. In January, Denver signed a contract worth more than $1 million with the nonprofit. Of the $417,248 added to the contract, Denver Human Services will spend $93,600 for rent. Denver Housing Authority would pay $200 per unit per month for occupied apartments. DHS would pay $650 per month for unoccupied units. Empty units must be turned over for releasing in 5 days if in good condition, and in up to 10 days if in poor condition, according to the contract. Rent is $650 per month at Rox's Place, and Urban Peak property. Tenants would pay $450 per month at Roll and Garden and Star Apartments. Also, Urban Peak properties rent is $1,260 per month. Tenants would be expected to pay $1,060 per month. Case management costs $270,000. More than $270,000 will be spent on caseworkers. According to the contract, case managers would be available during normal business hours, monitoring youth compliance with lease and expectations, teaching/providing independent living skills, monitoring counseling needs, and providing referrals as needed, and collaborating with professionals assigned to youth. Case management is provided to every youth 5 days per week. The service is reimbursed at a rate of $65 per youth per day. More than 50,000 would pay for life skills groups 2 times per month or 2 per week and provide individual skills to clients in collaboration with the case manager. Direct care support employees will be reimbursed $32 per youth per weekend day served and up to 2 weekend days per week. Consciousness or highway to homelessness. The child welfare system is sometimes described as a highway to homelessness, according to the National Foster Youth Institute website. An estimated 20% of young adults who are in care become homeless the moment they're emancipated at the age of 18. And nationwide, 50% of the homeless population spend time in foster care. Foster children usually have no or very little money at the time of emancipation, leading to homelessness, according to the Institute. That may look like couch surfing, sleeping on public transit, or sleeping in vehicles. I've done all of the above, and I was not in foster care. I guess I was in foster care, but briefly, and it was when I was a baby. Damn, so I guess I fall into that category. All common occurrences for constituents of the child welfare system, according to the Institute's website. Housing instability often has a domino effect. It makes it more difficult to complete higher education, maintain stable employment, or manage the stress, trauma, and mental health impacts that go hand in hand with homelessness. Yep, that sounds about right. Okay, so Denver, you're trying to do something, but this is not really doing anything, especially when you're still making people pay over $1,000 a month to rent one of these apartments. People that are aging out of foster care. That's not doing better, Denver. That's what y'all voted for. We'll see if what Johnson ends up doing in regards to this. So y'all stay tuned for that. We'll keep y'all updated. The next article is apparently, I guess, the old boy that came on city council a few weeks back, or one of his associates was attacked. It's from Fox 31. It says Denver accused of ignoring complaints about homeless machete attacker. I'm just gonna play the video.
In this story, some might find disturbing. Lou Chora says the machete attack he survived was a close call, but his real anger isn't with the homeless man who attacked him. It's with the city of Denver, who says ignored his prior calls for help. This is surveillance video from February 8th at the Comprehensive Behavioral Health Center downtown. Lou Chora is on the phone with 911. Standing next to him is his office manager, Roman Alexin.
We need you here. We've been calling few days now.
Literally, as Lou was on the phone with 911, the homeless man he's calling about jumps out of his tent with a machete, swings at Roman, then Lou, who fights back. The homeless man falls, picks up the machete, and runs off. Still not caught to this day.
My head was sliced on this side. It was so deep that it broke the skull.
These are photos of Lou's injuries. He would need dozens of stitches on both sides of the skull and a CAT scan to ensure he didn't suffer a brain injury.
Very close call.
But it's the calls to 911 that haunt Lou, not just at the time of the attack, 10:18 a.m., but also at 9 a.m. that morning and 2 days earlier, when his office manager, Roman Alexin, called Denver asking the city to remove the tent in front of the business. Denver refused to release any audio of the calls to the problem solver, saying the release could impact the investigation and future prosecution. But Roman Alexin also submitted an online complaint February 6th, writing, tried to contact non-emergency line, but gave up after waiting on hold. Please address ASAP as it disturbs our business. We even included a photo of the tent, but says no one responded.
In this case, given how close it was to us and how many times we called and asked for the help, it just wasn't dealt right.
Especially because Roman says 2 days earlier, the homeless man had threatened to kill him.
I'm like, sir, is this your tent? We'll need you to move it. And he responded something. I'm like, sir, we really need to move your tent because it disturbs our business. And he just responds to me, leave me alone or I'll kill you.
2 days later, Roman says the man nearly made good on his threat.
I would say start taking people more serious. If you want people's requests more serious, there is call for help. Actually respond to it.
Lou Churara's attorney sent the city a notice of claim for possible legal action, but Denver responded it has governmental immunity, writing, we must respectfully deny this claim.
It's about the police and the response. Why would they tell us they're coming and they don't come?
Churara says he has sympathy for the homeless. They make up 1/4 of the methadone patients he serves, but he was never okay with a tent outside his front door or a city that fails to respond to its remaining downtown merchants.
We are American citizens. We need to be protected by our government, by our police, and I feel like we were let down.
Late this afternoon, the city of Denver responded by telling us it received so many complaints about encampments it has to prioritize which locations it responds to first. And up until the machete attack, this location wasn't considered an immediate health or safety risk. We also reached out to 2 candidates in the mayor's race to ask Mike Johnston and Kelly Bruff how they would like the city to respond to homeless complaints if they become mayor. You can read their responses and the city's entire statement on our website at kvr.com. While below, Fox 31.
Another attempt to paint the homeless or unhoused. Well, actually, it is on the city because y'all said that we can do better. It's not doing better, Denver. More examples.
Voters in Denver have just a little more than 24 hours.
More examples. You have to see that we are not doing better. We are doing worse. And last, but certainly not least, Denver chips in to house homeless families and low-income seniors. Shout out to David Heights again, my neighbor. Safety, Housing, Education, and Homeless Committee of the Denver City Council approves Wednesday city assistance for affordable housing projects for homeless families and seniors. The committee approved various funding mechanisms for the Warren Village Third Apartments and All Saints Apartments. I think we covered this already. The All Saints Apartments. Not double fleshing on. Yeah, I think either we covered this already. Che did. But yeah, that's the least y'all can do. So I'm gonna end the show, y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in to season 3, episode 10, part 2 of the Front Line Blacc News. Join us this coming Tuesday for a brand new episode of Shabaka's Black Experience Enhanced. I don't know what the topic is yet, but we will have a topic, and y'all will be known about no later than tomorrow. We should know what we're talking about. So make sure y'all like and subscribe to Shabaka EXP on Twitter. Make sure you like Shabaka's Black Experience Enhanced on Facebook. And make sure you like and subscribe to the Front Line Blacc News with the double C on YouTube and Facebook. Also, like and subscribe to the Revolutionary Agenda. I apologize, Lady Che wasn't able to join us this evening. She's going through a serious situation right now, so we're going to keep her in our thoughts and our prayers. And hopefully she gets better so she can drop another RBA for y'all sometime this week. So, that being said, stay black, stay dangerous, keep your head on a swivel, and never let a white supremacist knock you off your square. Shout out to Jay Militant. Was supposed to join us tonight and didn't, but no love lost to cuz. And yeah, so peace, love, light, reparations, and black empowerment. We'll be back next Saturday or this coming Saturday with a brand new episode of Front Line Blacc News. Yeah, I like to start off have fun. Peace, love, light, reparations, and separations. And I'm in command. Thanks y'all for tuning in. Let's get it from Black first and Black empowerment. Always. Peace.